Hello everybody, welcome to a Trackalicious Monday here at the lovely Trackalicious studio. Tonight we are in for a treat as we have Suzuka racing in ACC in the GT4 class. First, we've got two races of the Rookie Series, followed by a one long 50-minute race for the Open Championship later on in the evening. Lots of fun action ahead of us. 2 rounds in the bag. This is round 3. My name is Kuja Terekov, and joining me tonight is good friend of the program, Tyler Morgan. How are you doing tonight, Tyler?
I'm not doing too bad. I'm excited to see what all the drivers are going to get themselves up to today. There's 17 of them so far. Some of them have penalties, some of them don't. Qualifying is just slowly beginning to get underway as all the drivers do their outlaps, but I'm interested to see how they handle the tight turns of Suzuka. You have the Suzuka S's, that's this kind of snake flowing where you have to get the first one right or else you lose a bunch of time. Then you got the famous 130R. That's going to present some challenges to these drivers tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Super fun track is Suzuka, a fun figure of 8, or a fun figure of 8 configuration as well around Suzuka. And with the qualifying underway, let's get to the track and just see exactly what is going on there. Believe the odd numbers are rolling out first tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Nicholas Woods joining us tonight in the Fox Motorsport number 39 Mercedes. I believe this is his first race, starting a little bit later in the season in round 3, but nonetheless always welcome to join us along. Just about 2.5 minutes under qualifying. I don't think anybody is out on a valid lap, or a flying lap attempt, I should say. So this should be Holy Mother of Porsche in the chat. Yeah, you're completely right. It's a bit of a spec race today between the Porsches. And yeah, well pointed out there, Octane.
I was waiting to come on and waiting for my cue to come in. Yeah, there are 9 Porsches. If I didn't know any better, we dropped into a Porsche Cup server and not the GT4 Trackalicious Open server. So I'm gonna go down in my notes and try and see if I can predict where every Porsche will finish in the race, because there is 9 Porsches out of 17 drivers. I think that is that's more than half. That's about 52% as Nicholas Woods goes wide and invalidates his first flying lap.
Yeah, just running wide there at the straight between the 2 Degner corners, which Shane Sullivan is approaching here. Able to keep it within the track limits there, just running a little bit onto the curb. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoy what we have going on. But of course, lots of Porsches, like you mentioned, Tyler, and lots of other cars in the mix, such as the BMW of Shane Sullivan. Always fun to see that very brightly blue colored car rolling around on track. Pork chop in the Alpine as well. A very fun car to see. And of course, in the GT4 Open Series, the drivers are able to change their cars between races, as this is a learning championship where the car choice is pretty open, and if one car doesn't really suit the fancy of the driver, they have the option to switch to a different car. And it's not really for drivers to optimize the track, or to the car for the track. It's just to get a feel for each one and see what they really like to drive and how each one handles with their own personal sim rigs.
However, in the Open Championship, you cannot do that. Once you've selected your car for the first race, you will have been locked into that car. Now, the Rookies format will follow differently from the Open. The Rookies, as it stands right now, is a qualifying 10 minutes for the odds, which you currently see going out first, with the Porsche of number 69, I'm never going to get that name right no matter how many times I say it, has a 2:13 for provisional pole. The odds will go first, then you will see some of the evens roll out for their 10 minutes, and then you will have race 1 and race 2 qualifying, determining the grid for both of those races. 20 minutes in length for each race, so it's kind of basically a sprint. It'll be a blast. Hungary was just an absolute mayhem last week with nothing but side-to-side racing for literally 15 minutes of that entire segment. It was actually insane.
Yeah, absolutely epic stuff in race 1. Of course, race 2 a little bit more chaotic, as we have that prediction from Octane earlier in the chat saying race 2 is going to be chaos. And yeah, and of course there are a few drivers serving a few penalties with either a pit lane start or a qualifying ban. So either way, a few cars will be penalized in the race tonight with just about 6 minutes done in qualifying. Dr. Porkchop, though, in the Alpine, still not able to set a valid lap time yet in that Alpine.
I mean, he's going to have trouble in the straights, but he should be doing wonderful in the corners. And now we got Sam Warden, who's currently provisionally P3 at this moment. Wait a minute. That's an even number. Hold on. Is my brain deceiving me, or no? I'm not being deceived.
No, 22 is an even number.
22 is an even number. Okay, well that'll be good to know for the future. So, again, learning. This is a learning rookies competition. So, lessons will be learned from this moment. But he continues on, currently sitting provisionally P3, with 1 and about 2/10 behind Shink in. Shink is Santiago is currently 6/10 behind, so Porkchop seems to have invalidated another lap. He will have one more attempt if he has enough fuel, but past that, that's the lap he's gonna have to set a time on, or else he will start from the back of the grid.
Yeah, likewise with Woods in that number 39 AMG. Still looking to set a lap time. Wasn't able to set a valid one on his last attempt, but still rolling around in that AMG. Very fun livery for the Fox Motorsport. Always fun to see the custom liveries and the creativity on the grid as well. And yeah, don't forget to submit them for next time if you didn't this time, as we know that all the cars change. And we try to get them before every single race, so do make sure you update them about an hour before the race starts, so we can get them all in there, and so the broadcast can have the absolutely fun grid that we like to see rolling around in the GT4 championships.
That is a bright pink British GT.com slapped on the front of that friggin' Mercedes. And is he going to manages to stay in track limits for that point, and Dr. Porkchop does get that lap across, and he's going to get ahead of Santiago by 0.005 of a second. So, and Warden is not too far behind Santiago either. So close within 2 to 4, but currently the 69 Porsche is currently running away with things. But it'll be up to Woods here to see if. Do you think he'll make it back in time to do another lap? It'll be close.
Yeah, I think he should have just about enough time. I mean, even if he crosses over with 3 seconds to go, he still will be able to do that flying lap attempt. And unfortunately there, looks like he just ran a little bit wide. But nonetheless, he still has... Yeah, he's got a minute or so here to line up for another attempt. And I think he should have plenty of time with him approaching the infamous 130R corner, turn number 15 of 18 around this figure of 8 configuration at Suzuka tonight.
Suzuka's never been one of my best tracks. It's a very technical track. You pretty much, especially going through the S's, you gotta get your entry right, or else you just scrub all your speed and all your momentum going through those S's, and trying to get that recovery back is so difficult because you got to be so precise in these cars, and Woods will make it across to start another flying lap, and we'll ride on board with Porkchop now to see if he can. Santiago improved quite a bit, so he's now within 1/10 of that 69 Porsche, who's currently on a lap, who's literally, as I said it, invalidated. So if you want to count that as a commentator's curse, go for it, because I literally stared at his number identifier to see what he was doing, and he invalidated immediately. So Porkchop handles that well there, ride that curb there, get all that curb on the exit, smash the throttle, pray you have grip, and then let's see what Porkchop can pull out on the line today. It is a late finish line, so we might see some drag races. And he'll pull himself a little... Oh my goodness. You might want to steer clear there, Pork Chop. You got cars coming out. Probably wanting to set a few lap times, but that looks like it's going to be it for Pork Chop. And that'll be it for Matroni, I'm going to guess. And that should be the end of his qualifying, but at this rate, it looks like he's going to keep going.
You can still roll around, of course, and enter the pits the old-fashioned way of just driving through the pit lane. But you do have the option to escape to the garage, which we saw Dr. Porkchop do. But Domingos Matroni, like you mentioned, in the number 5 McLaren, currently sitting in 6th place, 2.3 seconds off of pole position. And yeah, just electing to go around again, maybe learn the track a little bit more, get that pit entry down in case he needs to use it at some point during the race. And now the majority of the even runners are rolling out onto the track. Maybe Warden, now in the pits, although he wasn't even numbered, did set a lap time earlier, so maybe just forgot which order everybody was going in, and I'm sure that will all get figured out in the post-race discussions. But nonetheless, Joan Perez here in the number 20 Porsche. Gonna say Porsche plenty tonight. Flying out, getting those tires, getting the brakes warmed up in that black and red machine. And of course, the 130R corner coming up. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
Oh, I didn't say anything. I was just sitting here marveling the fact that there's 9 Porsche. I honestly think we could probably get a Porsche 1, 2, 3 out of qualifying because you got Schink at 16 with the provisional pole time currently as it stands. Sug is always a threat because of how fast he is. And then you could easily get Perez, Ramirez, and maybe even Morea up there for the 2-3 spots. So plenty of opportunity for qualifying here. The doors are wide open for all these drivers, so let's see what they can do.
Yep, now crossing the line for the first flying lap attempt is Joan Perez going into the first corner, technically labeled as turns 1 and 2 on the official track map, before entering the S's complex of turn 3s. Now entering into the right-hander of 4 before the left-hander of 5, and once again sweeping back to the right of 6 before entering the Dunlop curve at turn 7, blasting up the hill into the very quick, very dangerous Degner corners where the track limits do come into play and you don't want to run too wide, as that will pull you into a gravel trap and surely slow down the lap time. But Joan Perez executing the first part well, second part running just that touch wide on the curb, using all the track available before this small little kink of a corner before the turn 11 hairpin. Oh no, Joan Perez running deep and into the gravel and into the wall, but hopefully not sustaining too much damage and is able to keep that car rolling in qualifying.
Yeah, I'm wondering what happened. Must have had just a little bit of an oversteer there. A little bit of an oversteer and understeer moment. Just went forward and decided that he wasn't going to make the corner. But nevertheless, as long as he doesn't impede Colin Sugg here, he should be fine. I think he's got enough of a gap where that shouldn't be an issue. Colin Sugg, definitely one of the pole position favorites coming into this qualifying session today, as we are down under 6 minutes left in this qualifying session. I'm going to see a lot of an inside of the Porsche today. I wonder what so many Porsches. I actually can't get my mind off it. As he heads now down to the famous 130R. You want to be able to, track limits are extremely careful on that right side there, but manages to give tons of room. Keep 2 wheels on the tarmac. Cut this inside curb here a little bit. Cut this inside curb here a little bit. Stay as close as you can to the right side. Sweep a little bit to the left. Full beans throttle to the line. Again, he's going to get a little bit of a tow here from Perez, and Sugg is going to find himself currently behind an Alpine, but ahead of 2 Porsches. So, mind you, that is his first kind of timed lap due to the fact of it's GT4s, so they run about 2 minutes plus on every track. So, still plenty of time for him to improve on that time.
Yeah, and with the GT4s as well, they have a bit of a warm-up period, so maybe just the first lap at the moment. And thank you for the follow, Next Level Racing Official. Thank you very much for all the support for this series and the Sunday series, and of course, all the other stuff that you do for us here at Trackalicious. Thank you very much. We really appreciate the support. With Colin Sugg flying around here in the 34, currently sitting in 4th place. Just a couple of those odd runners are able to set their lap times. Moreira in the 84, just 1 second off of pole position. We've got breaking news from Eric himself. Trackalicious hire Liam Lawson as trackside reporter, as he is apparently at Suzuka at the moment and has a bit of free time. How about that? Lovely news from our lovely Eric.
I mean, that makes sense. I'm still assuming he's going to drive for VCARB, but yeah, no, the demotion means he does have some free time, as Sugg, I believe, did invalidate on the exit of Degna 2, if I saw that correctly. So, yep, he is slowed down a lot from the back of Mr. Perez himself. And honestly, I'm surprised Red Bull themselves didn't call Mr. Sergio Perez and see if he wanted to drive. Can Allison produce a time that is on the board? Yes, they can. And it is P4 ahead of Porkchop, ahead of Sugg, but behind Morea, as Morea finds himself 3rd and Allison 4th. Santiago desperately holding on to that P2 spot, trying to hold off the Porsche dominance that's seemingly underway.
Yeah, we were seeing, I forget what it was in the last series, but there was a huge, it was the Aston Martin sandwich that we saw in qualifying last time, and currently De Santiago finds himself in a bit of a Porsche sandwich with those big Porsche buns on the top and bottom, with the 20 of Perez able to take pole position with a 2:12.165, 8/10 clear off of the next best time, and that is an absolutely blistering lap from Perez at the top.
Wow. Was track fast versus optimum? That's
no, it was optimum from the beginning.
That's an insane gap. What in the... You sit in the garage, enjoy your pole position from there. I mean, he's going to. He went off track, and now he's in the pits. He's going to sit there and enjoy it. I would be pleasantly shocked if somebody beats that.
Yeah, I completely agree there. Returning to the pits, but Joe Allenson still rolling around on a valid lap with a 2:13.392 as his current best at the moment in that pink and white Porsche. Lots of Porsches on the grid. Like we mentioned, lots of them having to start from the pit lane and serving some quali bans or starting from the pit lane. But of course, if you do start from the pit lane, not sure why you would roll out. Well, I mean, you could still roll out on the qualifying, get a few practice laps in, but that might ruin the grid formation at the beginning, so maybe that is just a rule for those who perhaps just have to start from the back versus starting the pits. But nonetheless, Allenson going around the final corner, turn 18, and a blast down to the start-finish straight. We'll see if he can improve his time. Not able to do so, about a 1/10.5 slower than his best attempt, but still with just under a minute to go, able to cross the line for one more flying lap attempt.
Sugg's about to cross the line, so he'll be able to... Oh, he just invalidated on the... Oh, I've done it again, man. Oh. How do I keep doing this? I literally say their name, I look at their icon, and they invalidate immediately after. I just don't understand. Vincent Morea, for please do not invalidate in the Degnas. I will just be so sad if you invalidate in the Degnas. But so far, you're giving me hope. You're giving me hope that this will continue on. Yes, it's fine. It's just a blip on the radar. I've only done it twice in qualifying so far. So, and that is the 76 of Allison, who is not going to complete qualifying as they have invalidated, it seems, as they parked pretty much on Degna 2. You have a few... Number 5 also is not going to be able to continue. He's done in terms of in terms of his qualifying because he's invalidated yet still on the track. Number 14, Bowling. Yep, Bowling. Hopefully I got that right. Is about to cross the line with a valid time. They will find themselves behind the number 5 McLaren P11, but multiple drivers behind them serving penalties, so not a bad spot up position. Let's see what Maria can do. Maria needs 2/10 to achieve the Porsche 123 that I've been dreaming of in my dreams, apparently. The victory of conquest number 84 Porsche, the Brazil livery. Let's see if they can bring it home here at Suzuka. Just find 2/10 in your clear, 3/10 in your second. What time can they produce? Not an improvement at all. They stay fourth.
Yep, indeed. Staying fourth, just a slight bit off of the pace, and Colin Sugg invalidating his flying lap attempt in the 34 will stay in 7th place overall as we get to the start of the race. Just want to say again, big thanks to Next Level Racing. They do provide a prize for this series for a random participant who participates in 7 of the 8 races. And the winner will receive a haptic gaming pad from Next Level Racing. And to check out all of their cool stuff that Next Level Racing has to offer, hit !NLR in the chat as Eric did earlier, and pop up a link to Next Level Racing and all of their fantastic stuff they have to offer. Let's start with the starting grid. Tyler, would you like to start us off with the top 10?
Sure, let's start us off. Joan Perez put in a lap, went to garage, had a cup of tea, no worries necessary. Sits P1, number 20 in that Porsche Motorsport. And he's got another fellow Porsche for company that I love this livery. It's so nice. The Tracaramia, Christopher Schink, number 69, nice in P2. And then you have Santiago, the lone BMW in this, the lone other car in this top 5, 777 in that lovely BMW NPG. You have Vincent Morea for company there beside you. Victory of Conquest number 84, another Porsche in Brazil. And then another Porsche behind him, the number 76 Allenson, sitting in P5, a good sprint, or a good qualifying, should I say, for them. And then you have Pork Chop continuing this 2-1-2-1 category, it seems, as Neo Kerbal pointed out. He's sitting in an Alpine amongst a sea of Porsches and maybe one BMW. Then you have Colin Sugg, who invalidated on 2 straight laps after I said maybe he could find himself as a pole position favorite. He currently sits 7th, number 34. Then you have Sam Warden, number 22, another Porsche. It's never ending, folks. He is number 22 and sitting in P8. And then you have Shane Sullivan, let I reiterate, Shane, not Scott, sitting in the 617 Racing BMW. And to round out the top 10, we have the Tolman Motorsport, number 5, Domingos Matroni, number 5, McLaren. I'll throw it back to you to finish off the grid.
In 11th place, Lily Bowling in the Starlight Racing number 14 Porsche, with Nicholas Woods in the Mercedes, the lone AMG on the grid tonight in the Fox Motorsport number 39, will start in 12th. Rally Dutchy, the lone Aston Martin on the grid tonight in the Mad Fox, will be starting from the pit lane in the 621. And Manuel Ramirez in the Costa Rica Racing Team number 157 Porsche, once again another Porsche on the grid. He will start in technically 13th, with Rally Dutchy starting from the pits. Matt Hugh in the Big Hugh Motorsports Camaro, the lone Chevy on the grid in the 53 tonight. Chris Saunderson, the lone Audi. Lots of single manufacturer entries tonight in the Audi R8. In the number 18 in the Allison racing machine. We'll start in 16th with Valerio Martino rounding out the grid in the 111 Porsche.
Yeah, it seems there's a lot of one-off manufacturers tonight. I think the only two manufacturers that have more than 2 cars is literally BMW, who has the 2, and then 9 Porsches. So there's a lot of manufacturing. Oh, a lot of people just returned to pit because I think they probably accidentally pressed drive, or they crashed. I have no clue. I genuinely don't know. So.
Yeah, more than likely serving that pit lane start, if I had to guess.
Accidentally hit drive and they're like, oh crap, what do I do? Panicked RTG.
Yeah, we got 2 20-minute races ahead of us, just 1 qualifying, so this grid here will be the start of the grid for race 2, but those serving their pit lane starts will not have to do that on race 2, as they will already have served those penalties in here in race 1. Optimum track conditions, pretty warm on the track, 32 degrees with 25 degrees ambient, nice and sunny, absolutely no sign of wind, so these should be the conditions to the end of our 20-minute race tonight.
It's gonna be fun. They're about half formation lap. I just honestly, like, why can't we be like F1 ACC and do standing starts? Standing starts bring so much better, arguably more chaos, but like, I just hate having to wait the 5 minutes it takes for the GT4s to mow their way around the track.
Yeah, with a full formation lap, it does take quite a minute to do so. For some reason, I thought they had the short formation lap in the GT4s, but nonetheless, hopefully everybody fueled up for the full formation lap and won't run out of fuel, as we've seen a couple of drivers do, unfortunately, in these series.
Matt Hugh did it in the rookies at Imola. I think someone in the Open did it last week. So we are 2 for 2 on people running out of fuel in race weeks, so let's, you know what, apparently Eric says it's a good thing there's only 1 Mercedes and just the folks to settle in. I agree, but, you know, the meme going around is how much you like the Merc and how much I'm supposed to, like, absolutely glaze it to the point of no return. But now they are in zipper formation, I will throw it to Kuja for the start of race 1.
Sure thing. Hopefully all the drivers got their tires, got their brakes, got themselves a little bit warmed up and ready to go for the race start as they round out the Casio Triangle, the closing section of the lap at Suzuka. 20 minutes of racing lie ahead. Should be about 8 or 9 laps of racing ahead of us. Lots of tricky corners ahead. Pretty good track for lots of side-by-side action. Let's see what sort of racing the rookies can provide us in round 3 of the spring season. A slow crawl up to the start-finish line, pretty much at the end of the pit straight, and we will see what happens at the start here. And we're going green. Joan Perez, unfortunately, on the back foot, already dropping back to second from the start, and De Santiago has a fantastic run up the inside. They're going to go side by side into turn 1, and he's going to get the move done. Is he? He's going to stay on the inside and gets the move done through turn 2. Joan Perez losing 2 positions on the start, unfortunately, for the driver starting from pole position. And now it's a Porsche. 3, 4, 5, and 6. 4 Porsches in a row. Dr. Porkchop losing a few places from the start in the Alpine as well. And all the Porsches trying to establish their positions on track, with Shane Sullivan not too far off behind this battle for 7th place between Sug and the Alpine of Porkchop going into the first Degner. No real overtaking opportunities there, but still at the front, it remains Shinka in front of De Santiago, with Perez in 3rd, Alonson 4th, Moreira, then Sug, then Porkchop, Sullivan, and Warden, with Lily Bowling rounding out the top 10. And there's a move on the inside there from Warden on Sullivan. A fantastic move into the hairpin.
That was an absolutely brilliant move. We had a little bit of we had maybe a spin in the backfield. Couldn't really tell. There was some yellow flags that were being produced there. And I think that was maybe the number 39 of Woods. At least that's what I could tell from the screen I had. So he's in a little bit of a backstop with Dutchy, Ramirez, and Matthew all cuddled up together. Ooh, what has happened?
Christoph Schenk dropped back. Yeah, he was in the lead, and now he's dropped back to third, and that allows De Santiago in the BMW to lead the race.
The Porsches aren't going to be very happy about that, considering now Warden, all he has to do is get through Porkchop, and then we'll have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in terms of Porsche leaders, with Santiago doing his best to try and just get away from the rest of these Porsches. Schenk's going to do his best to try and get Perez on a run here, as he has got the slipstream effect working to his advantage. It is a long straight at Suzuka. Is he going to pull to the inside? Yes, he is. Is he going to late brake? Yes, he is. And is he going to take it? I don't know if he is. He's side by side with Perez. But the inside at Suzuka is all but fatal. And that is Christopher Schenk taking up one more place up to now try and catch Santiago for the lead that he had that he lost.
Yeah, unfortunately for Perez, losing a position in that turn 1 around the inside again and trying to hold on for dear life there, almost running wide on the entry into the Dunlop curve, as these three will now battle it out for position. Alonso in the middle of Perez and Moreira, with this battle continuing on for that final step of the podium. Lots of Porsches in the grid, like we mentioned. Shane Sullivan dropping back the grid, and Perez runs wide at Degner 2, and that's 2 places lost for Perez, might even be 3, but Sugg thinks the better of it and doesn't quite send it. So now Joe Alonso will occupy the last spot of the podium, with Moreira not too far off in that Brazil theme colored Porsche behind.
Perez, he seemed to get the 1 lap pace, but as soon as the green flagged wave, he came under attack, and I think he's about to get under attack again from Colin Sugg. As he goes wide, so as Vincent Moreira goes wide. Perez is going to get that position back. Moreira, oh my gosh, it's going to happen again. Oh, they make contact. It's going to be a 5-way battle. 4 Porsches, 1 Alpine. This is not what the storybooks wrote. There is no room for anywhere to go. It seems that Sam Warden's gonna not look out. As down the inside goes Moreira, defending against the lone Alpine. As, oh my goodness, are we gonna see Martino come in from the backside? No, we're not. Oh, if he had made that inside dive, that would have been insane. Pork chop in the corner says that's a little bit of a force-off maybe by Moreira. That's going to allow Sam Warden Martino on the inside when there's no room. The Alpine is sad in the straights, and he is going to lose out all those positions. The BMW pulling its butt on the Alpine, but it's just not going to be enough. As, wait a minute, is he going to... Oh my god, the switchback! Oh, this is insane. Pork Chop gets the position on Martino as the Alpine's superiority in the corners as you have Moreira go off. What is happening right now, Kuja?
Absolute chaos is happening, I'll tell you that, but it's absolutely clean for the most part. Porkchop just getting a little bit shoved off before the main straight, losing a little bit of power, but now he has the absolute grip to fight back through the first sector alone, gets the position ahead of Warden, and moves the Alpine back up into 7th place, and that's Martino going off into the gravel in the background, losing a few places to Warden and Sullivan as well. But Porkchop is now hot on the tail of Moreira, who was sitting pretty comfortably in 4th place, but now dropped back to 6th. The Alpine looking absolutely mighty through the middle of the track, but got absolutely swallowed on that main straight by pretty much 4 cars. And my God, I can't believe there wasn't any more incidents than Porkchop just getting pushed a little bit wide into the gravel. That was absolutely extremely epic racing from the rookies here in race 1.
Well, I tried to keep my breath, and I was run low on oxygen there. That was actually insane. Now, what you'll see happen here maybe is, Perez and Sug are seemingly going to fight it out again, it seems. Sug has actually gotten by Perez, probably in the spoon curve there, as Sug drives away. Morera does have the speed advantage, it seems, over Perez, and that's Perez indeed going a little bit wide. He's gone wide. That might allow a pork chop got forced off again. That Alpine's just getting bullied. Does Perez possibly have an issue, because he's just not, that one lap pace he had just seemingly has vanished out of thin air.
Yeah, 100%. After starting on pole position, now drops back to 8th place in the number 20 Porsche, and just doesn't quite have the pace to keep up in the top, and just a little bit of mistake after mistake, as Shane Sullivan running a little bit wide in turn 1, but able to keep the position over Martino behind as they battle it out for the final positions in the top 10. Joan Perez again, a little bit slidey, not sitting very comfortably in that Porsche at the moment.
He did a 212? As we ride on board with now the McLaren trying their best to try and catch it. Seems to be, is that an Audi? That's not a Porsche. Yeah, that's an Audi. I believe that's Sanderson. Yes, it is. Sanderson having a little bit of struggle here as you have Dutchy, Matthew. That is the 617 of Sullivan and Martino colliding. Do we have time to quickly get in a replay for that?
We can check and try real quick. Not quite enough. Not quite fast enough.
I can probably surmise what's happened there into Degna 2. You can probably put the pieces together as now they both fall. And Rally Dutchy is defending desperately from, is that Matthew behind? Yep, that's Matthew behind. And I can hear a little bit of echo, I think, on your end there, my good sir. I can hear the stream. It's not coming from me. Oh my gosh, that Chevy pulls on the straight, and they tap doors as the Chevy drives right on by Rally Dutchy. The Aston Martin just sad in the straight compared to the Chevy, as the Chevy moves on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, Sanderson as well in the Audi, able to move through the field now past Matroni in the number 5 McLaren, who's doing a little bit of a drift out of the final corner, and that is not going to help his chances of keep that position behind, with Matt Hugh now right on the tail of the McLaren in that Camaro behind, with that absolutely massive drift coming from the McLaren, but still able to keep the position for now in 11th place, ahead of Matt Hugh and behind Chris Sanderson, who occupies the last spot of the top 10 at the current moment. Just about halfway into the race, Vicente Morera is looking pretty racy. He's going to have a look down the inside, with Colin Sugg forced to go a little bit wide and take to the gravel and the grass, but able to keep the Porsche pointed in the correct direction. Will just slide in behind Sam Warden there and will occupy 7th place, with a lot of Porsches pressuring from behind, those of Perez and Ramirez in 8th and 9th. Vicente Morera running wide into the hairpin. Dr. Porkchop, we've seen him be really racy in the Alpine through these sections, is going to try to have a look now as they approach the spoon curve. That is turns 13 and 14. The entry, a much faster corner for the first part, and then a lot slower for the second part. Fighting camber the entire way through, trying to get the grip, but we know the Alpine suffers in that straight line speed department, so Vicente Morera should be able to pull out a pretty good gap before the braking zone of the Casio Triangle.
It's happened again. Have you noticed? The top 3 are kind of in their own world, while the rest of everybody else is just fighting for scraps. Absolutely. Oh, he's gone wide again. Vicente Morera goes wide. That's going to allow the Alpine of Porkchop to at least get close enough to make it interesting down the straight to at least keep it close. And that's John Perez losing a place to Ramirez. The free fall continues for that Porsche. I don't know what the engineers have done to that Porsche, but they need to revert it back. It's not working out for John Perez.
Yeah, not really at the moment. Really struggling to find the pace in the Porsche for now. According to my timing boards, doesn't actually have a valid lap set on the board 5 laps into this race. So really struggling to find the grip and the pace around Suzuka in race 1. But another race still to go, and we'll able to still qualify or still start from that starting position and try and make amends from race 1, with Matroni stuck in this battle of the other manufacturers, McLaren versus Audi versus Camaro. Saunderson in the Audi ahead, leading this train behind, with the McLaren losing a place a couple of laps ago. And Matt Hugh now hot on the tail of this pack, trying to get that Camaro into the top 10.
Yeah, this Camaro's definitely got the speed as that Audi goes wide. This might allow the McLaren opportunity, but the Camaro just needs to wait for the straight. As soon as the straight comes, that Camaro's going to absolutely just do circles around everyone else. That Camaro's got to be careful not to get a little too pushy, as you do have the Aston Martin waiting in the wings should something go wrong with any of these drivers. This Camaro definitely seems to want it. You can see the angry face that the lights in the hood that produce. The McLaren's going to go wide, it seems here. Nope, he's going to shove it up the inside and make contact with the Audi, force the Audi wide, and Matthew is going to collect the McLaren as he has nowhere to go. He's going to scrape across the infield and tag another driver, and he's going to be in the middle of the road. Nowhere to go. He's just going to hold his brakes and pray that nobody hits him. Oh, that is unfortunate, as Matthew has nowhere to go in the collision with the McLaren, and then commits on a re-entry, tries not to hit a driver, and sits in the middle of the track. Unfortunate, as Emmanuel Ramirez looks to now get Colin Sugg. Again, another favorite that's just not seeming to have the pace right now.
Yeah, the two Porsches battling it out here for 7th and 8th. Emmanuel Ramirez going to send it on the inside of turn 1. Can he get it held under the brakes? He can, and swoops through in turn 2 and takes that position away from Colin Sugg. Now going to try to chase down Warden in the number 22, sitting in 6th place ahead. Lots of chaos at the back there we saw with the McLaren. And yeah, just a little bit of a sendy move on the inside, not able to keep it under control after making contact with the Audi, and the unfortunate victim there being the Camaro of Matt Hugh, just kind of sitting there. Or not really sitting there, the number 5 McLaren, I should say, was rather kind of sitting at the middle of the track. Gave Matt Hugh nowhere to go other than into the side of that McLaren, and then cutting across the track, not able to keep it under the control and forced to spin out once again, and Matt Hugh now dropping back to 16th place.
Sugg actually, seemingly struggled on the straight, but he's there in the corners, so maybe he just had a bad exit. But are we going to see another inside move to the spoon curve here? It seemingly, nope, he is going to fall behind Ramirez right now and try and make sure that we don't have another move like that. Try and get a better exit on the Costa Rica Racing Team Porsche, as it is just a Porsche battle, 6th through 9, and then 2 through 4. The Alpine in the sandwich of Porsche death, as Santiago currently leads this race 1.2 seconds ahead of Schink and almost 2 seconds ahead of Allinson. Allinson kind of just watched everything happen, took 3rd, and just went, okay, I'm running away now, goodbye. Because Vicente Moreira is nowhere near the top 3 right now.
Yeah, Moreira as well, with a couple of mistakes we've seen, running a little bit wide, running a little bit deep into a few braking zones, but still able to hold on to that 4th place for now, with Dr. Porkchop not too far off. The gap, though, between the top 3 opening up to around 8 seconds to 4th place, and they have a really good battle on their hands in the top 3. as well. Pretty close here. Christoph Schenk trying to get close to the BMW in the lead of the race, with Allenson in that pink Porsche in the background, holding the fastest lap of the race. So Allenson does have pace in that number 76, just waiting patiently to get close. Schenk going really drifty on the entry in. Degner able to keep it under control though, and still has that second position in between Allenson and DeSantiago in the lead of the race.
That was an excellent save. And that is a drive-through for Perez. Their struggle seemingly continuing, as that is a drive-through, 3 minutes left into this race.
Yeah, with 3 minutes to go. Like I said a little bit earlier, didn't see a valid lap set from Perez, so yeah, likely struggling with track limits and picking up that track limit penalty. And of course, the drivers do have 3 track limits violations to work with, but on the 4th one, you will be awarded a drive-through penalty, which we have seen, unfortunately, for Perez to pick up, but he does not necessarily have to serve it until the end of the race with just under 2 laps to go. It should be this lap and then 1 more lap for race 1 here tonight in the GT4 Rookies Championship at Trackalicious, with Christoph Schenk here in the number 69, trying desperately to get on the back of the 777 BMW in the lead of the race, but also doesn't want to make too many mistakes, as the Porsche of Allenson is not too far behind either.
It's actually going to be, I think this will be the final lap of the race due to the fact of when they cross the line, but it might be actually really tight. It might be a little close to call, but I do think this will be the final lap of this race. So if Schenk or Allison's got a move in them, now's the time to make it. But that BMW seemingly pulling on the straight.
And Matt Hugh, unfortunately, with another yellow flag incident at the Casio Triangle, dropping down the order now, with Woods not too far behind. Perez electing to dive into the pits to serve that drive-through penalty, or maybe just diving into the pits because it looks like they are stopped in pit road at the moment. So, oh no, still rolling. My apologies here. Drive-through cleared for Perez, gets that Porsche back out on track, and is going to battle it out until the end, like our top 3 are as well. DeSantiago able to keep that gap just far enough to where Schenk can't quite think of making a move into any of the heavy braking zones, but one of the best overtaking opportunities is coming up at the Casio Triangle. DeSantiago just really needs to get this exit out of the spoon curve absolutely perfectly to not let Schenk have any advantage going into that braking zone. It looks like he's able to do just that, and Allenson himself is not close enough either to the back of Schenk to try and make any moves. But of course, the very quick 130R corner coming up, and anything can happen here, as it looks like Christoph Schenk using one of his track limits to his advantage, gonna sweep to the outside of the first part of the Casio Triangle, but DeSantiago covers off any overtaking moves absolutely perfectly, and he is gonna charge out of the final corner to the checkered flag, and he is gonna take the victory in race 1, with Christoph Schenk and Allenson finishing on the podium within a second of each other. Absolutely brilliant and close top 3, with Moreira finishing in 4th with a drag race to the line, which the Alpine will take over Ramirez, who was able to get through Warden, and Sugg finishing in 7th and 8th respectively. Now Saunderson up to the line in the Audi, on the lone Audi on the grid in the number 18, with Rally Duchy coming up to the line, with Martino in the 111 not too far off. The number 5, Matroni, after that incident with the Audi, will finish in 12th. Shane Sullivan in the 617 BMW finishes 13th. Lily Bowling in the number 14 will finish in 14th. Race number and finishing position match there for Lily, with Matt Hugh finishing 15th and Nicholas Woods 16th, with Joan Perez starting from pole, but unfortunately finding themselves at the back of the grid in race 1, but race 2 is still to go. And after lots of action in race 1, I'm really excited to see what race 2 will bring, Tyler.
Yeah, you've heard of last to first challenges, but I think the first to last challenge is equally just as difficult. And sadly, Perez has managed to do it, but they do have the start of pole position for race number 2 in their pocket. Pork Chop, in a sea of Porsches, manages to find themselves in P5. So an excellent start by them. Funny enough, they only gained 1 position from when where they qualified. But in a sea of Porsches, you will take that nevertheless. Santiago ended up winning that race from 3rd going to 1st. Alonson gained a few places as well, going from 5th to 3rd. And then Schink just kind of stayed where he was at and just stayed in that wonderful 2nd place. And those were the podium finishers.
Yeah, lots of racing between lots of the drivers, but a lot of them finishing in the position that they started after dropping a few places and then gaining them back and then dropping a few, gaining them back. So yeah, lots of absolutely fun racing throughout the 20 minutes behind, and now another 20 minutes lie ahead of us in the GT4 Rookies Championship. This is round 3 at Suzuka. Another 20-minute race coming up. Let us remind ourselves of the starting grid in tonight's race. At the top, qualifying in P1, was Joan Perez. There we go. Joan Perez in the Porsche Motorsports number 20 with the race winner. Oh my goodness, everything's out of order here on my timing screen. Never mind. The grid walk is going to be pretty much out of order, but we know the grid from the start. So we can just take a look at the left there. Perez on top with Schinka in 2nd, De Santiago in 3rd, Moreira in 4th, Alonson will start in 5th, Pork Chop in the Alpine in 6th, Sugg and Warden in 7th and 8th in the 2 Porsches, Sullivan in the 617 BMW will start in 9th, Matroni in 10th in the number 5 McLaren, Lily Bowling in 11th place in the number 14 Porsche, with Woods in the 39 starting in 12th place. Rally Duchy in the 621 Aston Martin will start in 13th, with Ramirez behind in 14th in the 157. Good race from him to move up so high up through the grid, starting in 14th, with Matt Hugh in 15th in the number 53. Hopefully able to avoid the same mistakes as last time and keep that Camaro out on track and on the grid, with Saunderson in the 18 Audi starting in 16th, and last but not least, Martino in the 111.
Yeah, that's not a bad grid rock as the helicopter. As the fog and smog kind of roll in here as we start to slowly go into nighttime. But yeah, as Austin Doyle has said, 5 p.m. the sunlight is in your eyes. So this is going to produce... Can we actually see what the driver can see? Can we switch to that camera if we have it? Oh, okay, so there's not the sun in front of them, but maybe there's the sun somewhere in this. I mean, it is pretty cloudy, it seems, at least from what I can see from the driver's point of view.
Yeah, I think the sun will creep in at a certain couple of sections of the track, but not too many falling under the sunlight here, with it being at 6 p.m. local time at Suzuka. The sunset getting underway in the land of the rising sun. The grid is also underway for the formation lap. And we've got some wise words from the chat. 6 might be late enough for it to be gone. And yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens as they approach the second section of the track itself, with the starting grid getting underway for the formation lap. A full formation lap here around Suzuka, getting those tires and the brakes up to temperature to be able to race cleanly and effectively into turn 1 and throughout the start of the first lap.
I'm interested to see what we have for race 2. Now, I will say, this has happened almost every race so far. Everyone's kind of nervous with race 1, not wanting to get in any incidences and stuff, but race 2 brings on some confidence with people. It brings out like, hey, I did this in race 1, I can do this in race 2. Well, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, and you risk maybe getting yourself a nice penalty, it seems. But honestly, I think Santiago's probably in the best case he has here, considering he's a BMW in a tank full of Porsches. So Porkchop seemingly held their own quite well too, so it's honestly anybody.
Yeah, the Alpine was absolutely mighty through all of the curves around Suzuka, 18 of them around this 3.6 mile figure of 8 configuration at Suzuka. Always fun to race around here with the overpass just before the very infamous and very fast 130R corner. Yeah, very, very pretty looking sky here in ACC, with the clouds being completely clear tonight as well. So absolutely no cloud cover, super bright, no wind, very nice conditions for racing. Now getting through the Spoon curve are our drivers. Vicente Moreira starting in 4th place, or 3rd place actually, on the grid.
I don't know what's happening there.
Well, he was just trying. Go ahead.
Am I bold enough to make a prediction that that a Porsche won't be on the podium? Am I bold enough to make that position? Because that would have to be Santiago, Porkchop, and Sullivan, would be my best chances for that. So, like, maybe? Like, I can say there'd be one Porsche on the podium and arguably make that prediction okay. But I think this will be a Porsche 1, 2, 3 podium. I don't think Santiago can pull off what he did again, and Porkchop will probably have a little bit of a tougher time, probably P8. So those are my predictions. Let's see if I curse them.
Let's see if they are cursed or correct this time around. Rounding out the Casio triangle of the formation lap to get onto the start-finish straight, where they will line up in zipper formation, 2 by 2 by 2, all the way from 1st to 17th on the grid. 17 cars running yet again in race 2. 20 minutes of racing behind us, 20 minutes of racing ahead. Thanks to everybody watching along, chatting along. Hope you are all enjoying the action here tonight at Trackalicious on the GT4 Mondays in ACC. Green flag should get this race going any second now, and there it waves. Joan Perez off to a much, much better start than last time. De Santiago is looking racy though. He's gonna send it up the inside of Shinka, and is Shinka able to defend 2nd place? And he is now looking pretty racy, but running a little bit wide and onto the grass. So is Porkchop in the Alpine.
Hold it.
Oh, and he goes through the track. No, and the Alpine is gonna get completely spun around, and into the wall goes Porkchop after sliding across the grass. Shinka though holding on to 2nd place, with De Santiago under heavy pressure from Moreira behind. Allenson in the pink Porsche not too far off, looking pretty racy after finishing on the podium last time around.
That prediction lasted all of about 3 seconds. That prediction, I said he would go struggle to 8th. I didn't get slammed off the circuit, as that's Moreira going into the wall! And he's managed to barely keep it out of the wall, but he's lost significant places. What the heck? Is that Colin Sugg? That's he did tag the wall. And Colin Sugg got pit maneuvered by Sam Warren as he went into the wall hard. What is happening?
Yeah, absolute chaos in Degner 2 this time in race 2, but a lot of the drivers still able to keep it rolling and keep it going out on track. Moreira with a miraculous recovery, able to keep that Porsche still rolling, but having to deal with that little bit of damage, running a little bit wide on the entry into Spoon, with lots of Porsches behind looking to make up those positions.
Porsche. All the other manufacturers, except Santiago. Oh, and that's Joan Perez losing the lead race. And Santiago's going to go try the outside, defended well by Shink. Perez does have the advantage of having the other Porsches at least a ways bit behind due to all the incidences that happened as you saw before. But that is Schink taking back the lead of the race that he lost last race. And let's see if he can hold on to it, or is Santiago going to be the double race winner? That is what he is hoping for. That is what he is fighting for. And Joan Perez is going to have Alonso breathing down their neck soon. So the chances of having the same podium finishers is definitely on the cards here.
Yeah, 100%. In one corner, Joan Perez running wide at 130R, losing it to Shinka and to Santiago, who almost made up the position on 2 cars in the braking zone of the Casio Triangle. And Joan Perez again running wide, but able to keep the car rolling. Alonso will now roll through and take that final podium place away in the pink number 76 Porsche. And now the 2 Porsche Motorsports cars, the yellow and red machines, the number 20 and the 22, will battle it out for 4th and 5th place. It's Joan Perez and Sam Warden now battling for position on track.
Team orders. I sense team orders coming through. I doubt it. I doubt that would happen, but team orders definitely.
Oh no!
Oh, that's a massive collision! Allison's just gonna seemingly avoid death itself, as we're gonna cut to the replay of what the heck happened.
What the heck?
Oh, the replay didn't catch it because of the TV camera.
That TV camera was so slow.
And that is Santiago still on the side of the track, finally able to start moving, and Allison's now in the lead of this race with Perez and Horton in P2 and 3. What in the world? This is just madness right now. What is, oh my lord.
Yeah, I wish we got a slightly better look at that replay of just what happened between Shinka and De Santiago towards the end, or towards the braking zone at Spoon. They just probably didn't give each other enough space into that large turn 12 curve, flat out straight section, whatever you want to call it, before the braking zone of Spoon. And now that allows Joe Alonso to take the lead of the race in the number 76 Porsche. Joan Perez not too far behind, 1.1 seconds, with Sam Warden and Emmanuel Ramirez working his way up through the field super effectively yet again. Started from 14th, is now all the way up to 4th place and is looking to get onto the final step of the podium. Gonna try to send it on the inside of the Dunlop curve, but Sam Warden looks pretty good on the power, but he's gonna have the outside here, but it's gonna turn into the inside once they enter the Degners. Joe Alonso in the lead. They're gonna go side by side. Absolutely epic stuff between the two. Emmanuel Ramirez sweeps around the outside. Barrera is gonna cut to the grass once again, and they're side by side all the way up and down the field here.
Look at Martino side by side. Oh, that's 3 wide. Oh my god, that was... As Martino... Matroni, Martino, and Sugg, that a freaking mouthful, are going to race like their lives depend on it, because at this rate they do, because everyone seems to be crashing and spitting and incidences left, right, and center, as we have an all Porsche top 5, as chaos just seems to be flying in bedlam right now. The lights go on, the sun goes out in Japan and brings out the madness, as that is going to be Sugg stalking, preying on Martino, as they are going to go around the outside, as that's going to be the outside of 130R. This is going to be crucial. Going side by side is a little difficult here. Sugg does indeed back out, choosing their life over a position that they can probably get in the next coming turns, as that is going to be Martino taking one curve, taking another, and being just fine. But so far as it stands right now, is that's Perez on the... Perez has got Ramirez for company. He definitely does. Look how close those lap times are. Is that going to be an up? Sam Warden up the inside? Maybe. No, it's not. Sam Warden going to wait and be patient. It seems Ramirez is hungry. This is only allowing Alonso the opportunity to escape with this race win. Is still, can you believe there's only 12 minutes left to go still? In the last 8 minutes, we have had at least 6 different lead changes.
Yeah, absolutely crazy stuff in race 2. Alonso nearly 4 seconds in front of the next podium sitter. Sam Warden again under pressure from Ramirez, and Ramirez is going to get the position through Dunlop. Moreira's going to try to take the position as well as he sweeps through the inside of the Dunlop curb and is able to get it done before the braking zone of the first Degner, and Moreira now moves up into 4th. Sam Warden drops to 5th, and Ramirez up into a podium position after starting in 14th place.
That's that. If they can get by Perez quick enough, they might at the pace that they have maybe challenge for the race win. But that's going to take some heavy laps from Ramirez. As Ramirez is warning Perez now, I'm down the side here. And are they going to find that opportunity yet? Nope, they're going to hold on. They're going to wait, get a better exit. Don't make a move that you might regret. Just get the pace. That's Perez going a little deep. That's going to allow Emmanuel the opportunity to stay in that slipstream. Get as much speed as you can from that other Porsche in front of you. This is all Porsches in the top 5, so manufacturers will stay the same. This is Ramirez's opportunity going into the chicane here. He's going to take the inside, go over the curb, unsettle the car a little bit. That's for Vicente Moreira looking, sniffing for that podium opportunity. As you have Sam Warden, who's lost those places, also looking at the opportunity at Vicente Moreira as the battles seemingly go from left, right, up, down, on and on. There's battles in the backfield too. This race is not over. Again, we're only halfway through, and we've had enough action for both races combined. And Emmanuel Ramirez is currently stuck behind Joan Perez. Perez doing enough this race to make up for what he did last race.
Yeah, doing just enough at the moment. Moreira and Perez running wide in the same place at the same part of the track, both coming under pressure from their fellow Porsche drivers behind. And Ramirez out in front of Moreira, looking pretty racy on the back of Perez. Does have a faster lap time in the race than Perez, but not quite able to get a move done to move up into second place overall just yet. And in a couple of places, Vicente Moreira is looking really confident on the brakes and able to get really close to this battling pack of the podium sitters. And Emmanuel Ramirez is gonna squeeze through the inside. The door left just a little bit cracked, and the invitation was received by Ramirez, who is gonna dive to the inside of the hairpin and take second place away from Perez, who's now coming under pressure from Moreira behind and really doesn't want to lose out that final podium position. But Moreira trying their very best, both of them running wide again at Spoon. And they are gonna try their best to maintain it, as there's a bit of a wiggle from Moreira, and that might give Warden the opportunity to close in on this battle in front.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to reiterate, there's now top 5. It is now a top 6 of Porsches, as Martino has gotten past Matroni, it seems, for that position. And that is, again, Vicente Moreira looking, begging, pleading that Joan Perez has another mix-up. And that's Sam Warden gaining a little bit on Vicente Moreira as this battle in the Porsche Cup Series, GT4 Open, just seemingly gets more and more frivolous as time goes on. That mix-up was intentional, folks. And Alonso has, because of that battle between Perez and Ramirez, has gained a 5-second lead. Oh my God, what did I miss? Dang driver's briefing. Octane, you missed everything.
Yeah, lots of action so far, and it's just over the halfway mark. Still just a little over 8 minutes left in the race. Vicente Moreira stuck in between Perez and Warden at the moment, with Martino getting ever so closer in the background in the 111 Porsche, currently occupying 6th place at the moment. And like you said, battles all the way up and down the field. Brian DeSantiago working his way back through the field.
Round the outside there of Shane Sullivan, it seems, as Santiago currently has the fastest lap of this race, trying to do their best to navigate whatever happened to them between him and Christopher Schick, who's now down in 13th. As that's a yellow flag up ahead. Who's that? Oh no, that's the 42. Is that what? That's the 22. That's Sam Warden. He's had a little bit of a mix-up and fallen out of that Porsche battle. Oh, and that's Vicente Moreira. Can they save it? Yes. They managed to save it. Vicente Moreira saves it, and now is in a position where they can get Perez through 130R. If they can manage to get the slipstream, get side by side, there's your warning, I'm coming for you! As that is John Perez going so far wide, it should be illegal. And that is Martino gonna make this a 3-wide, bumps Vicente Moreira deep, but he bumps him into, oh, I wanted to say bumps him into a gained position, but that's not the case. Martino is on the back of Vicente Moreira after that bump. Vicente Moreira was attacking for that podium position. Now they have to defend, and that defense is going to be shaky at best. Martino has the inside, and that is a super late break by Vicente Moreira as they go extremely wide, losing multiple places. And that's going to allow Martoni and Martino the opportunity to get back, as with now Sug and Matthew on the back of each other, and oh, that's falling apart at the seams. There's chaos everywhere.
Yeah, Vicente Moreira losing a few places at turn 1, but able to get one back as the Porsche of Martino runs wide as well. Matroni and Martino both running wide, and Moreira gets both of those positions back in the matter of a few corners time. And Sug in the Porsche behind, able to sweep through now into 5th place in the number 34. Matt Hugh looking really racy, is going to have a look down the inside. There's a bit of contact. Moreira runs wide. Now there's a lot of contact between the McLaren and the Camaro. Moreira's losing the place to Martino, who's going to sweep through in the 111 from 8th place, gaining a lot there, with Matroni and Hugh both getting involved in a little bit of an incident there. And now Matt Hugh is going to sweep through and take the position away, as there's going to be a pretty heavy amount of damage on that McLaren.
Yeah, just a little bit of a bump there, another bump there, and they just seem to magnetize and hit each other. The front of that Camaro beat up to all craziness. The side of that McLaren beat up. All of these cars are beat up as they've been collected in multiple incidences. But ladies and gentlemen, I would like to turn your attention to Ramirez. That was a 5-second gap earlier. It is now down to 2.8. I think time might run out on Ramirez, but maybe, just maybe, there'll be hope. But right now, there are closer races involved. Can we just point out, Perez has held on to this position for dear life, it seems?
Yeah, still occupying that final podium position, with Sug now pressuring the likes of the pole sitter in the number 20 Porsche, just running wide in so many corners, as is Moreira there in the background, again running wide and into the gravel, and he's going to lose that position to Martino. And this is an absolutely epic battle here between Sug and Perez. Martino in the Porsche number 111, not too far off this battle, so any sort of battling between these two might bring any action in from the back. Shane Sullivan in the 617 BMW was under a little bit of pressure. Porkchop really cutting the corner at Degner 1 after making the mistake of running into the grass on the exit of turn 1 and cutting across the entire track and into the wall, unfortunately for Dr. Porkchop in that Alpine, dropping to the back of the grid, but recovering pretty well, moving up into 12th place so far with just over 2 minutes left in the race.
Speaking of recovery, can we talk about Santiago? He's now up into P8 as he has gotten past Morera. So an excellent drive by Santiago to recover what happened at... that was actually before the braking zone of Spoon. That was actually the right-hander downhill just before you get to the braking zone of Spoon is where that occurred. So, yeah, a good recovery by Santiago. And again, I think Ramirez is... Oh, Perez! Perez has spun out and he's lost the position! Colin Sugg gets on the podium place! John Perez has lost another spot to Martino! And he might be under threat from Matthew, as Matthew is in that Camaro, and that Camaro is speedy! But I think he might be okay right now, as this will most likely be the final lap of this race. If Ramirez has 2.5 seconds they can find in the tank, now's their chance. But Allinson looking like they are going to hold on to the lead of this race. Matthew and Matroni desperately looking for any kind of hope.
Yeah, battles all the way up and down the field. Sam Warden in the 22, fighting in the top 5 for a majority of the race and then making a mistake or some contact earlier. Now Shane Sullivan with the pressure from behind from the Porsche with Dr. Porkchop again not too far off in the distance in that mint Alpine, just ever so closer and closer lap by lap, especially in the S's and in all the corners. The Alpine has a mighty small and nimble chassis, able to really push the corners and really getting onto the back of the Porsche now as they enter Degner 2 with pretty much nothing separating these three cars. As opposed to the front of the field, this is not the Porsche's Cup Spec Series. This is GT4 racing between the BMW, the Porsche, and the Alpine. Absolutely nothing separating them out on track at the moment.
Allinson and Ramirez now approaching 130R as you have Matthew Matthew, did he? Nope, he's still 6th. He's actually going to fight for Perez in this top 5 here as the battle of 130R begins. As now the two P1 and P2 approach the chicane. Unless something miracle happens, Allinson and Ramirez will take P1, P2. Allinson will win race 1. Ramirez will take P2. Sugg will take P3. All the Perez with a little bit of a late braking move there manages to keep that place going. And that's going to be Sugg in P3, Martino in P4. Oh, it's going to be a drag race. Oh, Martino is going to get involved in this as well. It's going to be side by side. Oh, what a gap difference that is. Perez will hold on into a top 5 position. Matthew will take P6 by the skin of his teeth. A 7/100th of a second. Martroni will take... Oh, that is a Porkchop slamming into the back of some... Santiago will take 8th, Morero will take 9th, Sullivan 10th, Porkchop 11th, Warden 12th, Shink in the 69 will take 13th, Saunderson 14th, Dutchy 15th, Bowling in 16th, and Woods in 17th. Oh my! What a race number 2, folks.
Yeah, a lot more chaotic than race 1. Lots of action up and down the grid once again in round 3 of the Rookies Spring Season at Trackalicious here tonight. We invite all the podium sitters to join us in the green room, and we will pull you in for a quick interview here if you do have the time. If not, no worries, but yeah, now is the time to join, with Woods crossing the line and going into the barrier into the 39 to finish out race 2.
Let's see if anybody pops. I'll keep an eye and see if it pops into the green room. But so far at the moment, we don't have anybody. But we will hold on in just a moment, folks. They're all talking in the. They're all talking to each other at the moment. But we will have hopefully a conversation with
Green light, go,
a few drivers. We're gonna pull in. We're gonna pull in Santiago first. Hey, Kuja.
What's up?
We're gonna pull in Santiago first.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Santiago. How are you?
Tired?
I can understand that. That first race was fun, but that second race was just, there was so much. Oh, we couldn't even follow it in the broadcast booth. There was so much stuff going on. Well, but we'll get to that after. Talk to me about the race one.
Race one. Honestly, I was honestly surprised with the power that this M4 even got. It like just started pulling away at that start, and from there on out, I just started going steady. Steady.
That was it was a good race one you had with race one, but talk to me what happened in race two there. We saw the incident that you had with Shink, the 69 Porsche on the just before the downhill section before you get to the braking zone of Spoon. Talk to me what happened there.
Honestly, at that point, I may have been a little bit ambitious when it came to that one. I saw that he moved out to the outside, so I started taking the inside, and all of a sudden I just see a Porsche just right in front of me, and then we just both hit each other and just spin. I tried to keep control of the car, but sadly I just lost it and just pressed on the brake completely. And honestly, I'm kind of sad. I'm kind of sad that we did make contact, but it was great racing overall, just trying to keep pace with each other.
Anything on your end, Kuja?
Yeah, it seemed like you guys were pretty evenly matched in that first race. The top three were separated by less than a second coming down to the line. What was it like maintaining not one, but two Porsches behind you there?
Honestly, it was pressure. It was pressure, considering they were just behind me. They were slowly creeping up on me. But honestly, I kept it cool. Better said, I tried to keep myself cool. and I've got myself here. Yeah.
Well, congrats again on finishing out on top in race one, and a pretty good recovery in race two as well from you, Brian. Yeah. So hope to see you back in the top spot. More clean racing as well. Always fun to see that clean action. And congrats again on the win in race one.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll get out of y'all's hair.
No, all good. Appreciate you joining us tonight.
We got one more, and I think it's Sug.
Yeah, go ahead.
I will move him. Sug, congratulations on the third place in the second race. The seas parted for you. What else can I say in that? Talk to me what happened in race 2.
Well, I kind of just had to keep it under control because I'm not really familiar with this track, and I'm honestly not very good at it. But I was super happy. I kind of just waited to see what happened, and it went in my favor. I was really happy. Was not expecting that result.
Qualifying didn't seem to go very well for you.
No,
Seemingly, mention your name, you would invalidate a lap. So I'll take a little bit of blame that way.
Oh man, the broadcast curse. Oh boy.
Yep, I've done it again. But your qualifying didn't seem to go well. Race kind of involved every now and then with some incidences, but that's bound to happen. But race 2, everyone else, the seas just parted for you. Cars went off. Cars got in collisions, went off track. Like, how do you react to those moments?
Well, I would see cars kind of being unstable a little bit. I would kind of wait and see what happened, and then just kind of pounce to every chance I could get.
Anything from you, Kuja?
Yeah, again, always super close battles in these races that we have in the GT4s. Just curious, around Suzuka, a track that you're not so familiar with, what is the mentality of trying to defend or attack without knowing necessarily where those best overtaking or defending opportunities are?
I noticed there's a couple corners right before the chicane, and I would be a little bit faster than other drivers, so that was my strongest suit. So I would try to attack there, try to stay on the inside as much as possible, because I felt like a lot of drivers were going outside, so I wanted to stay inside, and that's where I was able to make the most moves.
Yeah, well, you certainly made those stick in race 2, finishing out on the podium. Congrats on that finish, Colin. Hope to see you
Thank you.
on the podium in the remaining races that we have. Yeah, thanks for joining us as well for a quick chat. And yeah, good luck to you in the remaining races of the season.
Thank you.
Right on indeed. We'll get to the action of the Open Series, who I believe are still in the free practice session. So we've got a little bit of time here in the studio to quickly remind you of our fun Trackalicious calendar and all of the fun races we've got going on around Trackalicious. On Mondays, which you're watching right now, we've got the GT4 Rookies Championship, which we just finished under our belts at Suzuka, with the GT4 Open Championship coming up underway, with the prize from Next Level Racing going to the championship winner in the GT4 Open Championship this season. Then on Tuesdays, we head over to Le Mans Ultimate starting at 8:30 Eastern Time for some multi-class racing, 60-minute races being held there. Monza on the schedule tomorrow. On Wednesdays, we go back to ACC for some GT3 racing, some late night racing for those on the West Coast. But of course, you don't have to live on the West Coast to participate. Quick 10-minute qualifying and a 50-minute race for those. Gonna be heading to Spa this week. Switching over to iRacing on Thursdays, starting at 6:30 Eastern for the mixed GT3 and GT4 championship. Gonna be at Monza this week for a 60-minute race before heading over to some more Le Mans Ultimate action on Fridays. There's an alternating championship going on in the Multi-Class Masters with 100-minute races, and the Orica Masters Cup, the LMP2 championship, alternating weeks. This week they will be having the Multi-Class Masters race at Fuji. No racing on Saturdays apart from the occasional one-off race, so do pay attention and keep on the lookout in the Discord for those one-off events that Trackalicious does host on Saturdays. And of course on Sundays, the Next Level Racing GT3 Pro Championship hosted by Trackalicious on Sundays starting at 8:30 Eastern Time. We were at Barcelona and Donington already for rounds 1 and 2. Gonna head to the Hungaroring this coming Sunday for another 80-minute race there. And the winner of that championship will win an ERS4 cockpit seat for their sim rig from Next Level Racing. And as well as in the Monday series, the championship winner of the GT4 Open Series will receive a haptic gaming pad from Next Level Racing. And in the GT4 Rookies Championship, a winner will be selected at random to get that prize, but the caveat is that they must have participated in 7 of the 8 championship rounds to be eligible to qualify for that prize. And we hear our lovely race director in ACC wave the green flag for qualifying, so let's head to the track and see what's going on there. -minute qualifying here. I believe it is open to everybody, so everybody is able to get rolling underway and set their fastest lap that they possibly can with 20 minutes in the session to do so. What are we looking forward to in this race, Tyler, compared to the rookies race?
Well, you got a few drivers that you wouldn't normally see. Obviously, good friend, good pal, Mitch Nairati in that Rogue Element Racing 32, representing obviously DRL. You know, the boys got to stick together and all that, as he is getting absolutely tailed behind by this Camaro that is just not getting off his butt, it seems, that it's qualifying. But also, obviously, you got to pay attention to the rookies. You got Porkchop, Dutchy, Martino, Sugg, and Santiago, who have just finished a race also. So maybe to them they might have a little bit of an advantage. But obviously with 220 minutes versus 150 with a mandatory pit stop, 25 seconds fixed refueling time, and you can maybe add an extra 5 seconds if you want some tires, which I feel like at Suzuka isn't mandatory, but also might prove a little bit of value. I honestly think there'll be a spot to look out for, but obviously the only man that you need to watch in this race is the greatness himself, the 787 McLaren, Ricardo Rivera. The man has won both races so far this season and just looks unstoppable. No one is going to beat this Puerto Rico Racing Club driver, and it's honestly his championship to lose, and I predict he will win again in Suzuka.
Tyler's predictions coming out in the qualifying session already, with Ricardo Rivera coming around the spoon corner, getting that McLaren warmed up to start a flying lap. Not too many have started their flying lap so far. The number 14 of Alex Freeman leading the charge in the Aston Martin of those who have started a valid lap, as he rounds turn 1 and is more than likely going to invalidate it right then and there.
Immediately invalidate. That one's on you. That one is totally on you, Kusha. That is not on me. So that is one commentator's curse point to you, good sir. And then obviously you have the Trackalicious LS 24-hour number 11. School is in session. Professor Chronotis in the number 42 McLaren. We had Porsches in the last race. We now have McLarens in this race. Oh, we have a late joiner, it seems. Number 88, Velez, in another Camaro. So, spoiled for choice we are, it seems, in this race compared to what we were in the rookies.
Yeah, plenty more manufacturers being displayed in the championship here in the Open Series of the GT4s in ACC. Justin Beachley with that camo Beach GT livery, the number 18, trying to set a flying lap, running a little bit wide. Perhaps the tires not quite up to temperature yet, as the track conditions are also fast at the moment and a little bit cold, a lot colder than we saw from the rookies. So maybe just catching one or two drivers out, as I believe that is the pink Porsche of Austin Doyle going off into the gravel at the hairpin.
That is now 2 for you, Kuja, that you've
exclamation mark curse.
They've immediately invalidated. Honestly, just keep the camera off every so that way everyone can set a qualifying lap. But that's not how it works here when you're broadcasting. You gotta look at the cars so that way the viewers have something to see. Currently, as it stands right now, nobody has set a valid lap time. Nobody wants to make a valid lap time, it seems, for the viewing pleasure. And I lie. Nairati will do 1 second, and then the 666 Camaro, as I'm going to... What's his first name again? I know his first... Oh, no.
It's Ilpo Ruotsalainen.
Yes, Ilpo. Ilpo will do the best provisional time with a 2:11. Torres will be 4 tenths behind. Weaver will be 6 tenths behind. Chronotis will be 8 tenths behind, as we are seemingly doing increments of 2 here, ladies and gentlemen, as Nairati will round out so far the current qualifiers with 1 second behind provisional pole time.
Yeah, pretty close. We've always seen it. The qualifying order is always super close in the Open Championship. Ricardo Rivera now with the pole time of a 2 minutes, 10 seconds, .747, 7/10 clear of Ilpo in the Camaro, sitting in second place at the moment, but plenty of qualifying still to go, and the track conditions should be ever improving as the session goes on, with the track currently set to fast, but with 18 cars rolling around, setting their lap times, laying down a bit more rubber. Those track conditions should improve towards the end of the session, and we should see those times tumble down a little bit as Alex Hansen is going to split the top two in the 390 AMG, going to take second place, around 4/10 off of pole position at the moment.
Xanderzone85, thank you for the hydrate. I don't have any liquid near me, so I will put that under my IOU section. Potts Weaver, I might go get a drink in between when the formation grid happens, or the formation lap happens, and when we kind of do that grid walk, so that'll be a time to get a drink there. As Potts Weaver rolls along, seeing if they can manage to hold on to this lap. Ideally, they do and get a good one and set a good time, as I do believe that was Freeman setting a time that is good enough currently for P5, splitting Torres and Weaver. Can Weaver improve, though? Can he manage to get back up, as Kerbal will set a time that is good enough for P3, and Weaver will set a good enough time that is for P4, so this track is absolutely improving right now.
Yeah, lots of green sections from lots of drivers out on track at the moment. Potts Weaver able to improve his time and move up into fourth, but Beachley is going to take that position away and slides that camo Mercedes into fourth place at the moment. Ramon Torres in the 181 McLaren, currently about 7/10 off of pole position, rounding out the S's, and is going through the Dunlop curve, approaching the two Degners, a very tricky section of the track here at Suzuka. Tricky braking zone, but super high speed into Degner 1, hard on the brakes into Degner 2, taking the curb on the inside and the outside as much as possible to try to maximize the lap time into this short little kink at turn 10 before the braking zone of the hairpin, and it's really easy to unsettle that car through the kink before the braking zone, and that is why we have seen a couple of the rookies get caught out there going side by side. And now this is turn 12, the long right-handed sweeper before the braking zone of the Spoon curve, turns 13 and 14. The apex is ever so tighter on the closing part of Spoon, and the camber is breaking away from the car, so it's difficult to get the power down, but Ramon Torres able to do that just perfectly in the 181 McLaren, blasting down the straight into the 130R corner, nearly at full speed through this super fast left-handed corner before the closing chicane of the Casio Triangle, riding the curbs super well in the McLaren, not bouncing around at all. The car is really happy to do that, sticking to the inside of the final corner before blasting down the start-finish straight, and we will see what Ramon Torres can do here. Good enough for fourth place at the moment with a time of 2:11.177.
What a nice lap by Ramon Torres. Absolutely smooth, absolutely beautiful. As I'm sorry, am I seeing this right? Kerbal has unseated Ricardo Rivera for provisional pole? What in the world? 2:10.725. Ricardo Rivera, 200ths of a second behind. Now, mind you, I do believe Ricardo Rivera. Oh, and that's an unsettling and track violation. So that's throttling gear 2. Your engine will not like that. As we have yellow flags, those aren't for collisions. Those are most likely pulling off and returning to garage, so that way they can get a fresh set of tires, fresh fuel. Sorry, folks, a fresh mindset, and to continue on with less than half to go in this qualifying session.
Yeah, just over the 10-minute mark here. Ricardo Rivera, 200ths off of the pole position time of Neil Kerbel of a 2-minute 10.725. Alex Hansen in third, Torres fourth, Beachley in fifth, Potts Weaver in sixth place, Ruotsalainen sits in seventh place in that 666 Camaro, just actually able to improve his time and moves up into sixth place to match the sixes on the car. Austin Doyle sits in 8th place, Alex Freeman in 14th, Chronotis rounding out the top 10, Velez in 11th, DeSantiago, winner from the rookies race before, currently sits in 12th place and in the pit lane as well, with fellow BMW driver Mitch Nairati in 13th place. Sebastian Zulsdorf in the number 23 AMG sits in 14th. Colin Sugg, podium finisher from the last race, sitting in 15th at the moment. Rally Dutchy as well, coming from the rookies race before. Same with Porkchop, same with Martino, will be in 16th, 17th, and 18th respectively. Ricardo Rivera, though, pulling up to the line here, and he is able to set a blistering lap at the top of a 2-minute 10.157.
Ricardo Rivera took that personally. How dare you take away my provisional pole, he says, and puts Kerbel and the rest of the grid down an extra notch just to be safe. What a mega lap by the megastar Ricardo Rivera. There's not enough that can be said about this guy. This guy is just all about speed and can do it anywhere, anytime, any condition. Can probably do it in the wet too, honestly. Put a flooded track on there and this guy can do magic.
Yeah, 100%. Super blistering pace. We've seen it all season long in the first two rounds of this Open Championship, with Ricardo Rivera leading the way and never looking back. So, in the 787 Puerto Rico E-Racing Club McLaren holding out that provisional pole position at the top of the field at the moment. A Porsche not too popular of a choice in this championship compared to the previous race of the rookies, but Austin Doyle representing the German manufacturer in the number 11 Doyle Mosport, currently 8th place, 1.4 seconds off of pole position, but is on a flying lap at the moment and is going to try to improve that position.
Right on board as he gets on through the Degnas right now. Might have gone out, but I think he stayed in just enough of the track limits there, using the curb on exit. That curb is within track limits, unlike F1, where the track is the white line on the curb. So far, he is within track limits. This hairpin a little bit scary for the GT4s. Can unsettle your car, as my broadcast partner says, but so far holding strong as he now heads down the right-hander into Spoon Curve. It's very important that you make sure you can maintain your speed. However, you want to hit a little bit of a late apex. Who knows if he stayed on there? That's where the apex is, and then you got to throttle the camber, taking your car away from the line. It's pulling you towards the wall. You want to make sure you stay close by, stay within track limits, and it is just a full throttle beans bash to 130R. A slight lift, ever so slightly. You want to maintain as much speed as you can through 130R. Braking just about here, nicking this inside curb as he goes a little deep, it seems. Nails the second curb just fine, goes a little bit deep on the exit curb. We'll see if that hurts his time, but otherwise that looked like a pretty tidy lap.
Pretty tidy lap indeed, if he was able to keep it within track limits. He is able to improve his time, but unfortunately I think track limits did come into play there, as it was not his best lap at the moment. Needs about 2.5 tenths to improve to 7th place to take that away from Potts Weaver, who's currently sitting in that 7th place position in the number 13 McLaren, 1.2 seconds off of pole position, who is which is occupied by Ricardo Rivera, able to improve his time just that slight little bit to a 2-minute 10.105. Neil Kerbel improving his lap time as well to within 0.2 of Ricardo Rivera. Justin Beachley moving up to third, getting the better of his Mercedes partner Alex Hansen, who sits in fourth place. Pretty much nothing separating those two Mercedes rather, with Torres in another McLaren in that top 5, 1 second off of pole position.
There's Ricardo Rivera and Kerbel, and then the rest of that's essentially what I see from these times. Is Beachley is almost nearly a full second off the time, and everyone else is just kind of just there enjoying themselves. So it's a 2-horse race seemingly, and then everyone podium. This feels like the end of the season where it was Max and Norris in the F1 season, and then everyone fighting for the 3rd place spot. So we'll have to see how this goes. Obviously, Ricardo will win. I think Neil Kerbel will actually probably come in 3rd, and then you'll probably have Hansen in P2. I think that's the best. I think that's the best way to go about that. I think that's going to be my prediction in qualifying, as that is Pork Chop on the side of the road returning to the garage.
He is returning the garage indeed. Alex Hansen blasting by, though, going through the long sweeping turn 12 in that Slipstream Dreamers 390, purple and black, maybe a little bit pink more than purple. Hard to see in this morning sunlight in the land of the rising sun. The sun is in fact rising at 4 a.m. local time at Suzuka. Alex Hansen approaching the 130R corner in the AMG, currently occupying 4th position, with Justin Beachley improving his time to a 10th better than Alex Hansen, and he runs wide, and that is going to be a track limit violation for Alex Hansen. But still, with just over 2 minutes left on the clock, well, he's going to cross the line, which is more than likely going to be his last qualifying attempt, unless he hits that start-finish line before 2:10, which he does, so he does have a chance to complete 2 laps here if he stays within the lines on this one and is able to get a pretty good lap time in. He does have that 2:11.100 under his belt, so it is possible for him to cross the line again and get another attempt rolling before that timer hits 0.
Hansen will be the last of the drivers to do that, though. He pretty much anyone behind Hansen now does not have another opportunity to go again. So these will be the final laps for these drivers. Kerbel will have the opportunity to go again if they have in fact invalidated. So anyone behind that 390 like Ilpo will have the one opportunity, the one shot, and then that is it. So we will see how the rest of these drivers do as we approach the time where the times that you get may determine your place, obviously, in the race. But you never know. If you get up to P6, there could be an incident where you were down in P8 or P9. So that could have been you. But Potts Weaver is not going to participate in this qualifying session anymore. They have RTG'd.
Yep, returning to the garage in the number 13. Not going to be able to improve this time as Neil Kerbel gets a little bit slidey on the exit, and he himself is going to dive into pits, and that is the qualifying session done for the current second place sitter, Neil Kerbel, in the 395 McLaren. Plenty of other drivers out on track, though, trying to improve their time. Professor Chronotis in the 42 McLaren, currently 2 seconds off of pole position, but on a flying lap is able to improve the position up to 9th place ahead of Alex Freeman in the number 14, who is himself going to cross the line here for one more flying lap attempt. Not quite able to improve on that last time around. Sorry, this is Alex Freeman. My apologies. Having a hard time reading. There's so many drivers to separate. Lots of Alexes. All good friends of the program. See him in participating in a bunch of different series. So always get them mixed up, but nonetheless, Alex Freeman here, 1.58 seconds off of pole position, needs about a 10th if he wants to get the place back from Chronotis.
Ilpo manages to go P5, so he was one of the last drivers to cross the line. Nairati will not improve. Another driver I don't think will improve, as track is still fast. It's 4:20 in the morning. No comment otherwise. Freeman, Beachley, Chronotis, Doyle, all on laps as 23 of Zolsdorf invalidates, so they can't produce another lap. The closest person to the line right now is Beachley, but Beachley's not really under threat from anybody, as both Beachley and the number 11 of Doyle invalidate. So there's now just very little drivers left on the grid. The 42 of Chronotis, the 14 of Freeman, and then the 7, there's a 7 somewhere. Okay, just the 787 of Ricardo Rivera. Okay, he's just out there for the fun of it at this point.
Yep, just out there trying to improve his time to absolutely show his dominance over the field. Of course, with the track conditions improving towards the later stages, this is when the times will tumble. Can Professor Chronotis produce a time that is able to do just that, hugging the wall on the right side of the track, blasting up to the line in the tennis ball colored McLaren, good enough to improve up to 7th place in the 42. And just with one driver left out on track, that is Ricardo Rivera crossing the line from pole position. Is he able to improve his time? He does. He gets into the 209s, a 209.782 from the 787 McLaren of Ricardo Rivera. Moves himself to about 5.5 tenths clear of Neil Kerbel in second place. Blistering lap.
He's doing it for the fun, honestly. He's just doing it to show off.
Yeah, he was already out on top and didn't really need to do that again. Damn indeed. And the number 777 getting the support, getting the energy from the chat. Hopefully DeSantiago can produce a good result after getting a good finish in the Rookies Championship just a little bit ago. But now time for the 50-minute race ahead of us. And let's take a look at the starting grid, with Ricardo Rivera occupying that pole position in the 787 Puerto Rico E-Racing Club McLaren, with the fellow McLaren of Neil Kerbel in second place in the To The Moon. The 395 will sit in second place. The AMG of Justin Beachley, the Beach GT number 18, camo and cats all over that AMG, will start in third place. The second AMG of Alex Hansen, the Slipstream Dreamers number 390, with the fun looking design on that Mercedes, will start in fourth place. The Camaro of Ilpo Ruotsalainen will start in fifth place in the 666, representing a really fun bomber design on that Camaro. Another McLaren in the top 10. This is the 181 of Ramon Torres, will start in sixth place. In seventh, Professor Chronotis in the Trackalicious LSR 24-hour number 42 tennis ball colored McLaren will start in seventh. Potts Weaver in eighth place in the Potts Autosport number 13, with Austin Doyle keeping him for company in ninth place in the number 11 Doyle Mo Sport Porsche, the first Porsche we see on the grid in the Open Series. And last but not least, in the top 10, the Aston Martin of Alex Freeman in the AF Sport number 14. And we'll hound off the rest of the grid to you, Tyler.
Colin Sugg currently sits in 11th as drivers hit drive. Sugg sits in 11th in the number 34 Porsche. He has got Velez for company in the number 88 Camaro, looking nice in the setting sun. He will sit 12th. The good friend Mitch Nairati didn't have a very strong qualifying, sadly. Rogue Element Racing, number 32, BMW. He's got fellow BMW Santiago for company, the 777. Seemingly a lot of companies on the BMW back end. Then you have Sebastian Zeldorf in the Beefcake Racing, number 23, Mercedes AMG. He will have Martino for company, another rookie coming in the, I'm not going to say that livery's name because I'm pretty sure that will not go very well, the 111. And then you have the numbers, Dutchy's going to start from the pit lane, it seems, the 621 Aston Martin. And then you have Dr. Porkchop, the 71 Alpine, had a few good races in the rookie series, number 71. And obviously, as I said, you have Dutchy sitting in the back of the pit lane.
Yep, starting from the pits is Rally Dutchy, either not able to hit glow. Not sure if there are those pit lane start penalties in the Open Championship as there are in the rookies. And of course, big thanks to everybody watching. Hopefully, we have a fun race ahead of us in the 50 minutes with that mandatory pit stop as well. So we will have to wait and see what sort of strategies the drivers end up choosing. We saw a pretty varied strategy last week around, with some people electing to choose tires, some people electing not to, but it'll be interesting to see what happens this week at Suzuka. Mitch Nairati starting from 13th place in the number 32 Rogue Element Racing. Always fun to see that BMW Most Wanted style livery on the grid being represented here by Mitch. Ricardo Rivera, though, on top with an absolutely dominant pole time in the 209s in the GT4s. Is a blistering pace around Suzuka. Everybody in the chat absolutely impressed by the pace of the Puerto Rico E-Racing Club driver. It's going to start from pole position yet again here.
Where's the sun now? I think the sun might be in their eyes now that it's... Oh, yeah, it's in their... Oh, for sure it is now. Where it is right now on the left-hand side of your screen, folks, it is absolutely going to be in... As you see Ilpo turning to the left, and you can see the sun right there, right in front of the drivers as they exit Spoon Curve. Will the sun play a factor as it currently sits where it stands? We will find out as they are almost about ready to get into zipper formation here, Kuja.
Yep, just about a few corners to go. About to cross the timing board for Sector 3, which is a pretty short sector around here at Suzuka. It just consists of 130R and the Casio Triangle, and that blast all the way down the start-finish straight to the start-finish line, where they will start another lap time for the race. And like we said, 50 minutes of racing lie ahead of us with that mandatory pit stop in the middle, lining up in zipper formation as they round 130R, getting the tires, getting the brakes, and getting themselves warmed up and ready to go and get the start underway when the green flags will wave. The Casio Triangle ahead of us, and I want to say a quick thanks to everybody watching, everybody redeeming all of the fun options we have here at Trackalicious. We will try to get to as many of those as we can throughout the race, and of course, we are following along, so do feel free to chat, tell us who you're supporting, and we will try to follow along with them if we have a chance to when there's a break in the action, or if they're involved in some action as well. Always fun to see that. Now, all the drivers 2x2 all the way down from 1st to 18th as they go down the start-finish straight. The green lights will go at any moment now. The 50-minute race of round 3 at Suzuka is underway in the Open Championship, pretty much side by side. All the drivers looking pretty respectful. Alex Hansen's going to try to sweep around the outside. Neil Kerbel nearly into the back of Ricardo Rivera. The two AMGs battling it out side by side. Ilpo still able to hold on to 5th place with Torres and Kronotis looking pretty racy. Austin Doyle just slightly tapping the back there of Chronotis, and he's going to try to slip through the inside of turn 6 before going into the Dunlop curve of turn 7. McLaren has the inside. Can the Porsche find the gripper on the outside and not run onto the grass? They're still side by side as they approach the first Degner, and Austin Doyle is just going to slip back and tuck in for now, but doesn't want to slow down too much as he's got Potts Weaver behind him for company in that bright orange McLaren. The pit window is now open for drivers to serve that mandatory pit stop, but at the front it is still the same order we started. Rivera from Kerbal, from Beachley, from Hansen, from Ilpo, from Torres, then Chronotis, Doyle, Weaver, and Freeman rounding out the top 10.
He had an exceptional race start there by Nairati number 32. He's gained up a few places, and now he's looking to attack Alex Freeman, trying to continue on this nice lap 1 pace that they've seemingly found. They've pulled a little bit away from Sug. Last week at the Hungaroring, they were kind of in the middle of nowhere, which was unfortunate for Nairati, but Nairati also has to deal with the fact that Freeman also wants Potts Weaver. So currently, as it stands right now, all the pro drivers seemingly have managed to get away without incident, knock on wood, as they head now into the famous 130R.
Yeah, lots of side-by-side going into that first corner, but no one really able to make up any places. Pretty much the order maintains the way we started, with Nairati making up a few places after starting in 13th, as well as Rally Dutchy getting rolling from the pit lane, now on track, trying to catch up to the back of this grid, which is all fitting down the start-finish straight at the moment. So really nice and tight all the way through, up and down the grid so far here.
Yep, everything seems to be okay. Ricardo Rivera hasn't... Oh, I think that was Hansen. Yes, Hansen dipped a little bit of a tire into the grass, and then you have Torres and Chronotis. They almost look identical in the morning sunlight, as you also have Doyle is somewhat interested in this battle, with Ilpo leading the front of the pack. However, Torres and Chronotis are both indeed in McLarens, yes, but they do look a little bit similar. Chronotis a little bit of a brighter green, a brighter yellow, it seems, than Torres, as they now go into the Degnas. Doyle fancying maybe a move here, but just has to sit on by right now as they get into the hairpin section here. This may be chances for a move. However, Chronotis defends the inside from Doyle quite well. Maybe the door opens for Torres, but nope, the door will go back to being shut. And so far, all is holding point in serve right now.
Yeah, the track giveth and the track taketh at the moment. The Porsche slipping really close to the back of the McLarens in the Degners, but in the high-speed sections, the McLaren is able to get the advantage and pull away from Doyle as Chronotis pulls a bit of an advantage, and now Doyle is coming under pressure from Potts Weaver behind in that battle for 8th and 9th place. But Professor Chronotis looking pretty aggressive still on the tail of Torres, running a little bit wide there. Don't want to do that too many times, as you well may pick up a drive-through penalty for track limits. The game will award you 3 track limit penalties, and on the 4th one you will be given a drive-through, which is mandatory to serve within 3 laps time from picking up the penalty. Weaver behind, weaving a little bit side to side, and it looks like that battle's gonna continue into the first corner. Doyle stays to the inside and Potts Weaver taking to the outside, now under pressure from Freeman, but Freeman easily able to slip through after Potts Weaver makes that little bit of a mistake.
Weaver kind of tried to fake a move, which got Doyle to bite, but then just Potts Weaver couldn't hold the outside. Tipped a toe in the grass, and then off they went. So, seemingly a little bit of a mistake there by Potts Weaver, loses him out a potential place and an actual place. So, maybe they'll elect to not do that again, as Professor Chronotis still on the back of this situation, and Ilpo still holding this train of cars back.
Yeah, the Camaro starting from 5th place, still in 5th place. Alex Hansen slowing down just that little bit. A bit of gravel getting kicked up in front. More than likely that was Justin Beachley kicking that little bit of dirt onto the racing surface, and it is getting really close between Ruotsalainen and Torres in the battle for 5th place. The Bomber Camaro trying to keep that bright yellow McLaren behind, and is able to do just that, with Alex Hansen in the 390 AMG falling just a little bit back from his battle for the podium position, with the number 18 AMG we see in the front of shot there as they go through 130R. A little bit of a lift in these GT4s before going through that corner into the heavy braking zone. Ilpo covering off the inside, feeling a little bit of pressure behind, running a little bit wide on the exit as well. This is going to be a really good chance for Torres to try and line up a move down this long back straight and into turn 1. Ilpo already covering the inside. They're side by side. There's already a bit of bumping between the two. A bit of bullying there from Torres, pushing Ilpo to the side and getting the position is Torres moving up into 5th place. Ilpo falling back to 6th, with Chronotis now right on his tail in 7th place.
The power of that McLaren seemingly just seemingly undivided right now amongst the pros. It has the straight line speed. It can somewhat get you through the corners, but it's definitely a powerhouse in the straight. And compared to the Camaro, you'd think the Camaro would win that out, but it's just not. And the McLaren is currently having its way. And now that Torres has done it, can the professor teach Ilpo a lesson here and try and get by him?
Yeah, really close 4-car battle, nearly 5 with Austin Doyle in that number 11, just sneaking into the shot in that pink and black AMG. Ilpo looking for a move on the inside there, but Torres not leaving any opportunities open just yet for Ilpo to try to take that position back. Mitch Nairati still in 11th place, just coming into shot there in the background. The cameraman can't even keep up with all the action that is going on here tonight.
No, it's going absolutely haywire right now. But honestly, all of these open drivers all really have the pace, so that's why you kind of don't see as many lead changes with the rookies. It's much less of a sprint now that it's a 50-minute race with a mandatory pit stop, so you're not kind of full beans throttling, looking for every opportunity to pass. You're just being patient and trying to look for a move, and maybe building up to an overtake instead of just diving up the inside. As that's Ilpo going a little bit deep, that might allow the professor an opportunity to get by him on 130R. Maybe he can take notes, as that is Ilpo immediately side from Professor Chronotis. But this just might be the end for Ilpo. Ilpo, they're going to go side by side, heading now down into 1 and 2. Ilpo defends the inside. The professor needs to maybe do a switchback as Zuldorf goes to take their mandatory pit stop for 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes into this race. So an early pit stop for them, maybe just to get out of traffic, maybe try and pull what happened at Hungaroring last week when someone decided, I think it was Freeman actually, who decided to pit early, get out of traffic, and managed to go on an incredible run. But Ilpo currently holding off the professor right now.
Yeah, Ilpo doing a really good job of taking the inside line. Why people think they can overtake into the chicane, it is a really good overtaking opportunity. You just have to line it up really well out of 130R to really be able to get that move lined up. But it is one of the heaviest braking zones out on track. So I will say that it is one of the better overtaking spots to get a move done, especially with the different car advantages out of 130R. We saw it earlier with the Porsches having a really good, or really able to maintain their speed through the corners, whereas some cars have to brake a lot and then get on the power again, slowing them down through that high speed corner of 130R. And now the gap's opening up a little bit here. Ilpo not quite on the bumper of the McLaren in front, and the bumper is pretty open to the back of Chronotis behind. A little bit of a slide there at the exit of Spoon, but everything is still under control there for the Finnish driver, sitting in 6th place at the moment. Going into the chicane, no overtaking opportunities just yet here for the Professor. Not close enough to line anything up yet. Ricardo Rivera 1.2 seconds clear in the lead from Neil Kerbel, who is going to try his best to stay close to Ricardo in case of any sort of slip up in front. But we have seen some absolutely consistent lap times from Ricardo Rivera in the past, so no suspicion that that'll change in this race here tonight, Tyler.
No, not at all. Ricardo Rivera should win this race. Again, I predicted it in the qualifying session. The man who can seemingly beat my curses and defy all odds just does whatever he wants. Doyle seemingly must have had a spin or a little bit of an oopsie, because Freeman and Weaver both have gotten by him. So he's now down in P10. Nairati finding themselves kind of again in no man's land. 3 seconds behind this group, but also nearly a full second ahead of Velez. So might see a differing strategy call from Nairati here. And Velez is actually almost on the back of Nairati, just about 4 seconds. We'll keep an eye on it. No need to do it right now, as we have Doyle and Weaver seemingly finding it out for P9, but Doyle's going to have to do a little bit of work in that Porsche to try and catch that McLaren.
Yeah, that last lap, like you mentioned, a little bit slow for Austin Doyle. Not sure if it was a mistake or just battling it out on track and losing those precious seconds out on track. A 2:15 compared to his best lap time of a 2:11, dropping the Porsche to 10th place, but still right on the back of Weaver and Freeman to try and take away 8th and 9th and move higher up into the top 10, as it's side by side into 130 are nearly between Torres and Hansen. Torres looking really racy in the 181 after getting through Ilpo, now on the tail of the AMG for 4th place, nearly getting it done through 130R, but Alex Hansen defending it very well through there indeed.
That was almost going to be overtake of the day. That would have been nuts if they could have both kept it safely through 130R. But nevertheless, Hansen holds on to that position right now. Torres will be looking for another opportunity to get that overtake by, but nevertheless not having the opportunity just yet, as Ilpo currently defends from the Professor right now. Professor doing his best to try and hold on. He isn't a McLaren, so he will have a very minimal advantage in the straight compared to the Camaro. However, Torres will have the advantage on the Mercedes in the straight. However, he's just has to hold off until the straight before 130R. But Hansen doing his best defending job right now.
Yeah, doing his best indeed. Potts Weaver still under pressure from Doyle behind. We've seen the Porsche really strong through the middle section of the track. And right on the tail of Potts Weaver, this might be a great overtaking opportunity for Austin Doyle to get a move done into the hairpin. Potts Weaver covers the inside, but does Austin Doyle have the ability to switch it back? There will be a bit of contact between the two, but Potts Weaver able to stay in the lead of the race. Will there be mandatory pit for tires in this race? It's not mandatory to take tires, you just have to take fuel. It's a 25-second fixed time fuel stop, and the tire strategy is absolutely up to the driver if they want to add those extra 5 seconds to take on fresh rubber for the advantage towards the end of the race. And we'll just have to wait and see what each of our drivers decides to do here. With the only driver to pit so far is Zulsdorf in the number 23 AMG, in a bit of no man's land, riding around in the opposite part of the track from all the action, but able to get some pretty good consistent lap times down and try to move their way through the field, electing to take that early pit stop, getting into free air, and like we said, trying to get those consistent lap times down in clean air and avoiding all this battling going out on track at the moment.
It's like I said last time. It's like, would you like to be battling? Yes, of course. The battling is the best part. But if you can get into some clean air and get some good lap times, that will only help you in the end. Now, if you want to take tires, that might give you 5 extra times that you'll have to race back. But again, you don't want to take tires too early. Like, if you wanted to pit and get out of traffic and get tires, you'd probably have to pit probably around the 30-minute mark, just to really get the benefit of those fresh tires staying until the end of the race.
Yeah, 100%. And of course, it is possible to finish a Suzuka without a tire change, but it will be pretty difficult to do so. And it's hard to tell without having a true pit crew with what all the other drivers around are deciding to do. But nonetheless, we and the broadcast booth are able to see numbers that some of the drivers are not able to, but of course we can only make speculations of what everybody is doing in the pits based on the numbers we have ahead of us. Looking from the rear wing of the AMG of Alex Hansen, Torres getting closer and closer. Alex Hansen running a little bit wide, having to ease off the power. This might give a good opportunity for Torres to catch up. We see him getting closer and closer to the rear wing. Will this be another side-by-side battle into 130R? They thinks the better of it and just tucks in behind, but he might line up a move into the braking zone of the chicane. The McLaren around the outside. Alex Hansen cuts off that opportunity pretty well and still stays in front, but Ilpo and the Camaro looking to get involved.
A little bit deep by Hansen there, dipped a tire into the grass. This will give Ramon Torres the opportunity to catch him into turn 1. Hansen gonna force Torres round the outside, but I think, no, Torres doesn't have this move all wrapped up nice and tidy. They're gonna go side by side in through turn 2, but Hansen's just gonna hold off Torres right now. Ilpo tried to take advantage of this battle, but there just wasn't enough time and or space for Ilpo to take advantage of that. And now this 4-car battle seemingly returns to our screen.
Yeah, the 4-car battle is back. The 2 separate 2-car battles between Hansen and Torres, and Ilpo and the Professor in 7th place. Now a 4-car battle out on track from 4th to 7th place. Less than 2 seconds separating these 4 drivers out on track, with Ricardo Rivera leading the way from Neil Kerbel and Justin Beasley. Ilpo's gonna send it on the inside of Degner. He gets the move done. Absolutely epic stuff from the 666, and that's gonna move him into 5th place. Sweet move from Ilpo.
Torres went a little bit wide, allowing the opportunity. But yes, a brilliant move by Ilpo, trusting, hoping that Torres wouldn't immediately come back on track knowing he's there. But Torres going deep, a little bit of bravery from Ilpo sets up a beautiful move done. Incredible.
Yeah, now it just has to chase down Alex Hansen in the 390 in 4th place. But Ramon Torres, we've seen him do the overtake on Ilpo before, now has to look at the back of the Camaro yet again and gonna try to line him up for another move, as the Professor in that tennis ball covered McLaren lurks in the distance and tries to catch up to this battle, with Alex Freeman in 8th place, Potts Weaver in 9th, Austin Doyle still fresh on the tail of Potts Weaver in 10th place, Mitch Nairati in 11th, Velez in 12th, DeSantiago 13th, Sugg in 14th, and Dr. Porkchop in 15th place. Losing 3 cars on the grid. Not quite sure what happened there. It looks like Zolsdorf may have disconnected after serving that early pit stop, so not really sure what happened there, but Torres not quite close enough to line up a move into turn 1 on this lap. Ilpo running a little bit deep though, might open up the position, drifting the Camaro through the first corner, not letting Ramon Torres get close enough though, and now they were going to stake their way through the S's yet again.
Santiago currently pits. Kerbel's at least managed to somewhat keep it close. He's within 2 seconds, Austin Doyle has been sniffing the back of Pottsweaver like an absolute madman, trying to figure out what he had for dinner, considering track time is currently at about 5 p.m. So, not dinner, maybe lunch. Maybe an early dinner if you really sufficed it, but maybe, who knows? What are some Japanese delicacies?
Sushi.
Do you have a preferred sushi?
No. Fresh. The fresh as it can be. Hard to get where I live, but always a delicacy. Austin Doyle right on the tail, flashing the lights away, trying to get the move done into the hairpin, but Pottsweaver covering the inside really well and not letting Austin Doyle get that switchback, which he's trying to do here, but the McLaren able to pull away on the straights and not let Austin Doyle take advantage through turn 12 before the braking zone of the spoon curve.
Yeah, I've never understood what flashing another driver does. Are you trying to get his attention so he screws up in the braking zone? Like, it seems a little bit unsportsmanlike if you ask me, but to each driver, to each their own. Austin Doyle gonna have the slipstream. The McLaren is powerful enough in the straight versus the Porsche, but getting that slipstream may help Doyle keep it somewhat close as they now head down into 130R and to the triangle. Oh wow, the McLaren really pulled away, it seems, there at the end of 130R. My goodness. Doyle just trying to do their best, as that's a little bit of a hop curve off of turn 1. And now you have Alex Hansen taking pits. Santiago had a pit. Oh, don't hit the back of your opponent. Oh, is he trying to overtake in the pit lane there?
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to line up a little bit, maybe take a little bit of advantage from Pottsweaver slowing down a little bit early. And now it's a battle of the pit crew of Pottsweaver, Austin Doyle, and Alex Hansen, who we saw pit from 4th place in that 390 AMG. Just at the front there, we see that pink or purple and black car stopped and waiting. Everybody's getting refueled, maybe getting tires as well. It does feel like forever just sitting there waiting for that 25 seconds as the pit crew does their work. Of course, we can't see the pit crew, unfortunately, do all the hard work that they do. So we'll let them do their job, and we'll let the drivers on track do their job, with Ramon Torres still on the back of Ilpo Ruotsalainen in the 666 Camaro, entering the hairpin one more time. 10 laps completed under our belts, just a little bit less than halfway into the race so far. The sun setting in the land of the rising sun here at Suzuka. Absolutely beautiful scenes here with the sun setting, the shadows getting longer and longer as the sun sets deeper in the horizon. Both of these drivers able to avoid going a little bit deep, but Ruotsalainen running a little bit wide on the exit there, but keeping the speed up, not letting Ramon Torres get close enough into 130R. We've seen him try to get by Alex Hansen a couple of times into here, and this is the closest we've seen him. He might be lining him up into the chicane here. They're gonna go side by side. Can Ramon Torres get the braking done around the outside? Oh, he's gonna stick it through there. He's gonna drift through, but doesn't have this ability to keep the power down, and Ruotsalainen has got to dive into the pits after battling it out for the first half of the race in that top 5 so far.
That was a late pit call by Ilpo. Holy, he kept it till like the very last minute. That is box opposite Torres moment there. It's just like, if he doesn't go, I gotta go, and it was a very late call, as you have Ricardo Rivera, Kerbal, Ilpo, Velez, Sugg all pitting to get fuel and maybe tires, it seems. But has Doyle gotten ahead of Weaver? Yes, he has. They had pretty much identical pit times, because they were after the pits, bumper to bumper.
Yeah, Pottsweaver even had a slightly faster pit time than Austin Doyle did, but now Austin Doyle able to sweep through Pottsweever, just missed the overtake unfortunately, but gets it done on track and moves up and takes that position away from Pottsweever in 12th and 13th respectively, but a few drivers in the top 5, or actually all of the top 5 still yet to pit. Velez and Sugg taking their pit stops at the moment. Both of those cars rolling underway under the pit speed limiter. We see them at the end of the pit lane. Oh no, and a drive through for Velez for speeding in the pit lane. That is a very unfortunate penalty to pick up from the Camaro driver.
That was also a driver that was racing. The streak continued seemingly for Nairati. People that fight Nairati get drive-through. That happened in Hungary, so the streak seemingly continues on. And Ricardo Rivera still holding on to P1 effectively. Kerbal closer than what they did entering the pit stops, but unless Ricardo Rivera spins out or has a very, very big mistake, this is all but his race to lose.
Yeah, just less than 2 seconds between the top sitters of those who have pitted already. Neil Kerbal is really keeping Ricardo Rivera honest. Doesn't want to commit too many mistakes. Doesn't want to get those tires any hotter or wear them any more than he wants to, as pretty much everybody in the top 4 except for Mitch Nairati is going to take their pit stop, and he is going to take P1 of the race with just over halfway completed so far.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's done it again. He did it in the Hungaroring. He's done it here in Suzuka, going extremely, that's bouncy from the McLaren of Ricardo Rivera. He should easily overtake these drivers that are still in the pits and still actively in the pits. It'll be interesting to see where Hansen comes out in relation to Beachley. That's going to be the biggest thing. Did Hansen undercut Beachley? Beachley in the 18 comes out. No, Hansen did not. He did undercut, I do believe that was... Who did he just undercut? He undercut the 181 of Torres. Or he was actually always ahead of Torres, I think. I think it was Wait, was he? I actually don't even remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember the order anymore, folks.
Yeah. So he was ahead of Torres before the pits, and so was Ilpo after making the move into the triangle. But now Torres takes the position away after the pit stop, and he gets by the 666 Camaro on track now ahead of the 666, with the timing sheets are a little bit out of order on the left side, but once they cross over through this section or sector 1 timing charts, they should update and be in the correct places. There we go. 7th and 6th place respectively for these two drivers have been battling it out for the entirety of the race so far. A few moves from Ramon Torres and a few moves as well thrown from Ilpo in the Camaro, and now it is an absolute fight to the end between these two, having already served their mandatory pit stop.
Yep, definitely. We'll continue on this fight as the sun beautifully sets here at the Suzuka circuit in Japan. The land of the rising sun now setting slowly as these drivers enjoy a breathtaking view. Don't stare at the sun obviously too much, as Nairati throws themselves, the last of the drivers, to Freeman. Now in the middle between Doyle and Pottsweever, seemingly splitting those two apart. So I think he was behind both of these drivers. I know he might have been ahead. Honestly, anymore. The pit stops are all so confusing nowadays. I give up. But ladies and gentlemen, let's enjoy this battle. Freeman currently splitting both Pottsweever and Doyle. The McLaren having the advantage in the straight line speed. The Aston much better in the corners. The Porsche just all around kind of in that moment. And Freeman does have the pace advantage seemingly on Doyle and maybe even Pottsweever. So let's see how that all rounds out here.
Yeah, Yeah, good battle here for the final positions of the top 10. Mitch Nyarati serving that pit stop will start rolling out at any minute here. Alex Freeman diving to the inside a little bit to defend from Potts Weaver behind, but runs deep into the second part of the first corner and opened up the opportunity for just that slight little bit for the McLaren to shove their nose in, but not quite close enough to get the move done. And Austin Doyle, yeah, moving up a position into 9th place, well, what should be 8th place now, with the BMW of Mitch Nyarati completing their mandatory pit stop. And once again, crossing through this Sector 1 timing chart here before the two Degners, everything should be nice and updated. So the top 10 here, we got Ricardo Rivera in the lead with the fastest lap of the race, about 2 seconds clear of Neil Kerbel, with Justin Beachley 8 seconds clear of them in 3rd place. Alex Hansen in the 390, 6 seconds back in the battle for 4th place between him, Ramon Torres, Rutsalainen, Professor Chronotis falling back from that battle 10 seconds and might be under the clutches here of Austin Doyle, leading the battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th between himself, Alex Freeman, and Potts Weaver. Mitch Nyarati in 11th, Sugg in 12th, DeSantiago, Porkchop, and Velez rounding out the grid in 13th, 14th, and 15th here.
Did anyone take tires from what you can see? Because no one's really had contact. Did anybody take tires?
It seems like just about everybody did. Almost everybody's pit stop is above 30 seconds, except for Ramon Torres. And Mitch Nyarati.
Interesting. We'll see how that goes. Because seemingly so far, obviously, can't really tell what Nyarati is. Nyarati is now definitely under threat, it seems, from the number 34 of Colin Sugg, and that also might be out there is Nyarati with a drive-through. That is unfortunate. Just as I speak his name, the curse continues on. Austin Doyle looking desperately for the professor to make a mistake here, trying to capture P7, but so far the professor handles it well, handles it with efficiency. Flashing him, letting him know, hey, I'm still here. You are not out of my sight ranges yet, good sir.
Yeah, absolutely tight battle between the Porsche and the McLaren, bumper to bumper going through the entire S's complex, now going through the uphill Dunlop curve. The camber a little bit braking here. He's still right on the tail of the professor as they're going to go into the Degners. Bumper to bumper. Absolutely epic stuff between these two so far. Doyle's gonna send a move down the inside. There's a contact between the two, and Austin Doyle comes off the worst of it, losing the position to Alex Freeman as well as Potts Weaver. They're going side by side. Freeman now having a look of the inside of the professor, but he thinks the better of it, getting a little bit slidey on the exit. The Aston is gonna try to line up a move into Spoon, just tucking in behind now, slightly alternate lines going through turn 12. Alex Freeman nearly dipping a wheel onto the grass. That could have been disastrous stuff, with Potts Weaver getting closer and closer to the back of this battle. Potts Weaver running wide in the first part of Spoon. This might give Alex Freeman the inside and a look at running down the straight before 130R, but has to back off. And now Potts Weaver looking really racy. Alex Freeman covering the inside line through 130R. Can Potts Weaver sweep through before? He does, but Alex Freeman, oh, nearly into the back. He goes wide, and now Austin Doyle sweeps through and takes that top 10 position away from Alex Freeman. And Chronotis still in the lead of this battle. Potts Weaver now under heavy pressure from Austin Doyle. Absolutely epic stuff here around Suzuka tonight.
That was some pretty bold moves by all drivers involved. Doyle trying to seemingly get a little too at the Degnas, wanting to try and get by the professor. Just didn't have much of the luck, lost the places. Potts Weaver had the overspeed advantage because if Freeman had continued on, he would have hit the back of the professor. So he had to back off. That allowed the professor to get a nice, sorry, not the professor, Potts Weaver to get a nice move. And then Freeman getting a little too defendy, missed his braking zone, nearly hit the back of Pottsweaver, managed to avoid it, and that's allowed Doyle to take P9. So, and this race, and this positional battle still not over by any stretch of the imagination with 15 minutes left to go.
Yeah, still 15 minutes to go. 15 laps under our belt. Lots more to come. A little bit of a tap there. Still flashing away is Austin Doyle, letting everybody know where he is. A little bit of a bump out of the exit of the Degners, but still Pottsweaver holds on to that 8th place position. Absolutely epic battle here for the final positions of the top 10, and a little bit higher in the top 10, Ilpo Ruotsalainen still trying to get by Ramon Torres in the battle for 5th and 6th place. These two falling back a little bit from Alex Hansen in the 390 at the front of your pictures there in that black and purple AMG. Just pulling out a slight bit of a gap from these two who are really close and have been for the majority of this race so far. Even after the pit stop phases, nothing separating the McLaren and the Camaro. The Camaro getting a pretty good exit out of that corner, but good straight line speed advantage from both of these cars, so it'll be pretty difficult for Ilpo to line up a move into turn 1. Into another lap of Suzuka we go. The McLaren still staying ahead, way more than a car's with Alex Hansen running wide though into turn 1. Might give up a few bit of seconds and time to these two battling behind, with Chronotis, Pottsweaver, Doyle, and Freeman still battling it out, just about 10 seconds behind this battle here.
Plenty of time. Sorry, folks, as it gets closer and closer to your own broadcaster's bedtime. Ooh, Ilpo seemingly might have the inside here. He's definitely letting Ramon Torres know he's there, but Ramon Torres seemingly covers it off. In a beautiful defense as that Camaro seemingly drifts and drifts, but holds on. Ramon Torres goes wide. Ilpo looking desperately to try and find that P5 spot, and he's gonna maybe send it up the inside. Nope, elects to go follow Ramon Torres behind and just seemingly wait for his opportunity.
Yeah, just waiting for that opportunity indeed. Super close through the Degners once again between these two drivers, but the McLaren able to pull out a gap in the straight, well, not really straight, but flat out section, a big curve of turn 12 before Spoon, before the plunge down the hill to 130R. Alex Hansen not able to pull away as much as he would like from this battle behind, and is also falling ever so slightly back to Beachley, who's occupying the final podium position behind Kerbal, behind Rivera, who has been in the lead of the race pretty much from the beginning of the race. After the pit stops, fell back a little bit, of course, to those who have yet to pit, but never in question where he was going to come out after all those around him entered the pit lane as well.
The man can break my curses, so he automatically is gonna just. So, not much. I'll curse him every race, but it'll never work. The man is just too good. Ramon Torres still defending from Ilpo here. The Camaro desperately looking for an opportunity to pass, but seemingly can't find it. Pottsweaver looking for an opportunity to pass the Professor. Doyle and Freeman both have had an opportunity, so it is now his turn to try and get past the Professor, who is again teaching just a beautiful masterclass of defense here for all to watch.
Yeah, really good defending from the Professor. Also attacking as well a little bit earlier on in the back of the train for 6th, 4th, and 5th place earlier on. After the pit stop, though, a bit of a drop back, about 10 seconds the gap to that battle up in front. And now it's Austin Doyle's turn to get close to Pottsweaver once again and try and line up a move in that Porsche on the McLaren. The Porsche seems really strong through the S's and in that first sector, but the McLaren really strong on the straights and in the third sector as well, able to pull away from the Porsche. So yeah, it's a bit of a come and go kind of situation here between the two different manufacturers, as well as Potts Weaver getting pretty close to Chronotis in the closing stages of the lap. So it might just be a slight little driver advantage where one is faster than the other as well.
Yeah, it's seemingly a situation of basically every car, every manufacturer has their kind of sector, where you obviously have the McLarens that are really good in the straight, and then you have the Porsches and the Aston Martins, which are doing a little bit better in the corners comparatively. So it's all just kind of a situation where it kind of seems to rise to one another. Right now you have Potts Weaver and Professor Chronotis battling it out, but by the end of Sector 2 you might have Doyle and Freeman kind of enter this battle. It really solidifies. Oh, that touch and go there as Potts Weaver just got a little bit of a dirty air braking zone moment there. Managed to avoid the Professor, kept it clean, lost a little bit of time to the cars behind, so that might open up the door for Austin, Doyle, and Freeman, but still 9 minutes left to go in this race, and positions still undecided.
Yeah, lots of battling in this top 10 still going on. Mitch Nairati, after that drive-through, unfortunately falling to the back of the grid, but within 1.2 seconds within of Velez for 14th place, so might just pick up a little bit of a battle in the closing stages of this race, as Alex Freeman is trying to close the gap in front. Currently sitting in that last top 10 position is Alex Freeman in the number 14 AF Sport Aston Martin. It's really, yeah, like we've been saying, it's pretty touch and go with all the manufacturers in different sectors. Austin, Doyle getting close to Potts Weaver through the S's and the Degners, but then Potts Weaver getting close to Chronotis in the straight sections, and so it is pretty much anyone's race, as we've seen. Just a small little mistake can be really costly. Alex Freeman trying to defend, or trying to go for an overtake and overtake a car, ends up losing a place to one, but then trying to defend that position, losing that place yet again to Austin Doyle, but now on the charge, trying to recover from those positions. And a quick reminder for everybody watching, if there is a clip that you liked, you can nominate it for Pass and Save of the Season. Just post that clip in the Trackalicious Discord in the appropriate channel, and our good friend Alex Hansen, currently running in 4th place, gets a big compilation of those clips and posts them on the Trackalicious YouTube for you all to watch. So if there's a pass, an overtake, a tight battle, a nice save, we've seen a couple of nice drifts from a few drivers, so if you liked what you saw, make sure to clip it, post it in the Discord, and maybe it will be featured in a Trackalicious video. So yeah, just keep your heads up for those, and always fun to see those compilations of just what sort of fun racing Trackalicious has to offer between ACC, iRacing, and the LMU simulators.
Plenty of things going on in Trackalicious. A little bit of everything for everyone here. So come and join us. Happy to have you along. Right now, Ramon Torres is probably wondering, how am I going to get past Alex Hansen right now, as Hansen has seemingly given himself no room for error now, as both Ramon Torres and Ilpo are right behind him seemingly. So Alex Hansen, with 6 minutes left to go, has no room for error, as the Constantina effect kind of occurs there in that hairpin section with 3 cars, with everyone reacting to everyone's braking. But as the sun sets and they can see it in their eyes, Hansen seemingly can see in his mirrors the 2 cars, mostly Ramon Torres, trying to take away P4 from him. Oh, is this where Ramon Torres is going to have his moment in the sun? Nope. I do believe Hansen's gotten a good enough drive, but the slipstream may work against him here. And look at that McLaren go. It's getting the slipstream effect. The slipstream dreamer giving the slipstream to Ramon Torres. Torres might fancy a move here, but elects to wait and hold on just for right now. This wing camera, brought to you by Next Level Racing, seemingly holding on for dear life as Alex Hansen, as we get to another straight where Alex Hansen has to defend from Ramon Torres and Ilpo. If one of them decides to mess up, they're going to go side by side here. Alex Hansen defending the inside and holds on. Everyone drifts a little bit, and Alex Hansen's going to drift a little too much. That might open the door for Ramon Torres. No space given. They're going to go side by side through the Suzuka S's. Ilpo watching in beautiful majesty as that's going to... Oh, wow. He actually didn't get the favored ball out of that at all. Contact made between Hansen and Torres. Ilpo was licking his lips there for a minute, but the contact actually didn't benefit him at all as Hansen slid into his path. So that means Torres is now 4th, Hansen is 5th, and Ilpo, frustratingly, is still 6th.
Yeah, no gaps opened up there at all for Ilpo to go anywhere. Just has to slam on the brakes and tuck in behind Alex Hansen, who was going a really side-by-side with Torres through the first corner and a couple of corners through the S's as well, but having to drift and save the car from losing control, will slip back into 5th and is now in hot pursuit of the car in front, as well as Ilpo is of him behind in that 666 Camaro, trying to close the gap ever so closely, as we have seen Alex Hansen lose a little bit of time down the straights to the cars behind. Maybe a slight slipstream effect as well, but he should have a slight helping hand with that McLaren in front, punching a hole for him and the Camaro behind as they approach 130R. Just over 3 minutes left in the race. All the drivers already served their mandatory pit stop, so the order of the grid on the left will be how they finish, unless there are any battles or overtakes completed on track. Torres running a little bit deep into the braking zone of the Casio Triangle, having to really slow that car down, gives him a bit of a disadvantage. Alex Hansen in hot pursuit yet again down the back straight of the McLaren, gonna try to line up a move and hopefully not run wide as he did on the previous lap, to give the position to Torres to even allow him to go side by side into the S's, and that battle was done and concluded just a few corners ahead of here where we are now, and Ilpo still on the back of this battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th place.
Yeah, Torres kind of seemingly opened the door with that upsetting move to the car in the triangle, going a little bit deep, having to scrub off a lot of speed, allowed the door to be opened for Hansen and Ilpo, who's kind of fancying a move here, at least watching on with bated breath, and that's Hansen going deep. That's going to allow Ilpo the opportunity to go up the inside like he did a few laps in the beginning of this race, and Hansen has now seemingly lost 2 positions. Hansen going to dive up the inside, Ilpo giving him no such room, even as Torres goes seemingly a little bit deep. No room, no quarter given, as Ilpo will find himself back in the top 5 re-qualified.
Back in the top 5, still a couple of laps, a couple of opportunities for him to catch up to Torres in front and make up another position into 4th place, as Alex Hansen dropping a few places in the matter of just a couple of laps. From 4th to 6th goes the 390 AMG, but still close enough. He does want to try to take advantage of the cars in front. Our lovely race director informing us the pit window is closed, and the leader, Ricardo Rivera, after 22 laps, is on his way around for one more time. Torres going deep into the braking zone yet again in the Casio Triangle in the closing stages of the lap, might give the opportunity to Ilpo. Ruotsalainen trying to get that 4th place away, but doesn't want to try too hard, as that might let the 6th place Alex Hansen go through as well. the battle behind. Also continuing between Potsweaver and Professor Chronotis. Chronotis in front in that tennis ball, green or yellow, whatever color you think a tennis ball is, let us know in the chat. Hot debate. Hot topic of debate as always. But Potsweaver right on the tail of that car, not able to get the move done just yet as the timer hits 0 in the race.
Yep, so this, if any moves are going to be done, if any moves are going to be thought about, it is now. Ilpo desperately looking for a move on Ramon Torres here, looking to try and get that seemingly worked out better through Degna 1. Hansen with absolute blistering pace through Degna 1 and 2, seemingly has gotten as close as he can to this battle. Ilpo gonna try and move up the inside, does not work. That might allow Alex Hansen to go for the switchback maneuver. So far, it seemingly didn't work for him. That's Professor Chronotis defending from Potsweaver you saw in your background. These laps are all but crucial as Ricardo Rivera heads toward the triangle. Seemingly with victory all but assured. That's not going to be what's happening. The podium is all but set. It's going to be who's 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th respectively. That is under investigation right now as Ricardo Rivera crosses the line to win. And if there was ever any doubt, which there never was to begin with, he takes P1. Kerbal will take P2 as you saw behind. And then P3 will go to Beachley. 130R still exists. For this reason and the triangle, Ramon Torres, if you screw up again, it could cost you the position. As the late brakes come out, Ramon Torres takes it perfectly this time, not allowing Ilpo or Hansen or anybody to take away that P4 position. Torres will take 4th, Ristolainen will take 5th, Hansen will take 6th, Weaver on the back of Chronotis. Chronotis will hold on to that position, will take 7th. 8th will go to Potsweaver, 9th to Doyle, 10th to Freeman, Sugg, Santiago, Porkchop, Velez, and Nairati, barring any craziness, should roll out this final few positions we have left. Velez maybe, just maybe, might have the opportunity to even think about sniffing for P13 here, but I think Porkchop has this all but locked out unless he somehow goes wide, destroys the car. But I think that's all that she wrote there for these drivers, barring their car basically exploding on the line. Porkchop will take P13, Velez will take 14th, and Nairati, sadly, Japan, not their favorite circuit, will finish P15.
What the heck was that? A stop-go 10 at the end as well. I'm not sure for what, but
He cut it. He basically just wanted to end the... Yep, there he goes. Bang! That's frustration from 32, and I can't say I blame them.
Car destroyed, car into the wall at the end there. Martino, Zulsdorf, and Rally Duchy unfortunately having to retire from round 3 tonight at Suzuka. Congrats again to our top 3, Ricardo Rivera, Neil Kerbal, and Justin Beachley. Please do join us in the green room for a quick chat. We will pull you guys in, have a quick chat, and see how the race was from your guys' perspective. Always fun to hear from our drivers. Fun racing in the rookies and even more epic battles continuing in the Open Championship tonight as well. Take it back to our Trackalicious studio here. Just wait a quick second for our top 3 to join the green room here. Tyler, what would you say your highlight of that racing tonight would be?
I think again with the rookies, it seemingly is just an absolute mayhem of a battle. That was just absolutely insane with the rookies, the constant battles. Race 1 being calm, and then race 2 all of a sudden just being utter chaos. And the top 3 is in the green room.
Top 3 indeed in the green room. Let's pull in Justin Beachley. How is it going? Justin, congratulations for finishing on the podium. A bit of a quiet race from you, not really involved in any battles after the start. How was the race from your perspective tonight?
Yeah. I mean, once Rivera and Kerbal kind of pulled away, it was about the most exciting part of the race was the first couple laps. And then I had like an even gap between Kerbal and fourth place, so it was like, okay, I probably didn't need to take tires, but did, and then didn't really affect my pace too much, so ended up cruising him to third.
Yeah, it seemed like that was the call tonight, was to take tires. Most of the pit times we could see was above 30 seconds. So yeah, what kind of goes through your mind in a bit of a quiet race like that when you're kind of driving on your own? Do you start singing any songs in your head, or are you straight focused on what's going on in front of you?
I mean, it is a lot harder to stay focused, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like almost being in a practice session at that point, just trying to race clean laps and try to make up a gap or put a gap on the people behind. And yeah, it's easier said than done, but I really like Suzuka. It's probably my favorite track in this game, so it's always fun to get out there and drive. So I was pretty confident I could have a pretty decent result tonight, but yeah, podium much better than my first two races. I wouldn't say those first two races were my strongest, but Suzuka's always a fun time. So was very happy with the result tonight.
Yeah, it really was a good result, even though it was a bit of a quiet race after the first kind of stages of the race. Kind of the drivers behind pulling back, pulling up ahead, but nonetheless able to keep it clean, able to get those clean lap times and not picking up any drive-through penalties of the sorts and finishing on the podium. So congrats once again, Justin, and good luck in the rest of the season. We'll hope to see you back up here soon as well.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Anytime, my friend. Let's pull in our next podium sitter. We've got Neil Kerbal. Let's pull in our friend Neil. Neil, how's it going, my friend?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Can't complain. Lots of pretty epic action all the way up and down the field. You yourself were pretty close to Ricardo for the majority of that race from the start. How was it from your perspective trying to stay close to a quick driver such as Ricardo?
Incredibly difficult. I was talking to Ricardo in the green room, and I'm just like, there's just no catching you. You're too fast. So I tucked in, just followed behind him, didn't try pushing too hard. And then I saw when he went in the pits, I was like, you know what, that seems like a good idea. So I just followed him the entire race.
Yeah, you guys were pretty much separated by about 2 seconds for the majority of that. And yeah, really good pace from you in qualifying as well. You were up at pole position up until the last stages where Ricardo Rivera put in a pretty blistering lap. But still, very impressive pace, Neil. Any questions from you, Tyler?
Were you even attempting to push to get to Ricardo Rivera? Were you protecting your tires? Because I understand that Suzuka just loves to eat tires.
Suzuka does love to eat tires. Perhaps the first 3 to 4 laps, I tried to catch Rivera, but then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to watch the Delta to Beachley and make sure that I keep that and keep adding time to it just to maintain that gap.
I mean, that's fair. I can understand that. No one's going to beat Ricardo Rivera. No one. Not even you. You tried. You tried.
There are people that can beat Rivera. You should ask him about the sun in the Degnas.
I will.
Yeah, we'll ask him just that. We're going to pull him in just a second. Neil, once again, congrats for another podium finish this season. Good luck in the remaining rounds. Hope to see you back up here as well in the coming races. And let's pull in our race winner, Ricardo Rivera. Good evening, Ricardo. How is it going from our race winner?
Everything very good.
Heck yeah. Well, we have
See you guys again.
Yeah, always good to see you up here talking to us after the race. Appreciate you joining. Appreciate everybody joining, still hanging out, listening to the interview part. And we had a question from Neil. You guys were chatting earlier. Tell us about the sun in your eyes, Ricardo.
It was super crazy because I changed since the quali was nighttime or the practice. I changed the brightness of in the game, and I forgot to change it back again. And the sun was crazy especially in the first sector.
Oh man, that's such a brutal error. No,
but no excuses there. Actually, Neil's pace was really good, especially in the first stint. Like he kept me watching the Dota and making sure I didn't make any mistake.
Yeah, we were saying through the whole broadcast, Neil was like pretty much right up there, keeping you honest. Didn't really have any room for error, and track limits are kind of in effect here at Suzuka. How many warnings did you end up with? Just curious.
Finally, I just got one, and it was in the last 10 minutes of the race.
Yeah, I remember talking to you maybe last race or a few races ago. You're like, yeah, I picked up 3 in like the first 20 minutes, and kind of had to cruise from there. Tyler, any questions from you, my friend?
Hello, Ricardo. Nice to have our weekly chat, and always nice to see you. You're gonna win every race this. And there is
every race is the gap is closer.
I'm my prediction is you are going to win every this season. My question to you is like, how, with the pace that you have, are you able to keep yourself busy? Like, how is it that you don't like have like a momentary lapse where you're just like, oh crap, like you get in this flow state and then you come out with everything?
I will say that actually I don't know. I just try to keep my beating my lap times, lap after lap, is what keeps me busy and don't lose the focus during the race. I think actually that that's pretty good for endurance racing too. Like be able to, doesn't matter that you are not fighting with anyone, to keep putting the same lap times. I think that will also have helped me. Like be able to be consistent around the race. Doesn't matter what's happening during the race.
Yeah, I asked Justin a little bit earlier, who was kind of in a bit of no man's land in that race, finishing in 3rd place, just kind of what the mentality is in a race like that, where you kind of have a bit of a gap. Well, for you, 1st place, obviously a gap in front, but then that gap opening up behind. What kind of goes through your head in like keeping that consistency throughout the race?
I just want to keep seeing the gap because bigger and bigger every lap. I think that you can find like anything to compete during the race. Doesn't matter, it's actually like race pace, but maybe you can like focus on making each lap faster than the guy behind you. Doesn't matter that he's actually not being a threat during the race, but I don't know, you can find like different challenges, or maybe you have, like there's a certain corner in here, the hairpin. I know that like my best lap delta wasn't the best time that I took that particular corner, so at least I tried to like keep improving trying to improve the fastest lap, because I knew that I have time to gain in the hairpin. So I don't know, you find like little challenges.
Yeah, you almost kind of race yourself in trying to improve everywhere you can. And yeah, once again, congrats on finishing in the top spot in another race here in the Open Series. Congrats to you, Neil, and Justin as well, for rounding out the podium. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We really appreciate chatting to you guys after the race. It's super fun to get a little bit of insight from you guys after seeing the close battles out on track. So yeah, always fun to have a quick chat with you guys after the race. So thanks you guys for joining, and congrats and good luck in the rest of the championship.
Thanks.
Gonna go ahead and kick it to you, Tyler. Any closing words from you, my friend, after quite an action-packed night at Suzuka tonight.
Yep, the rookies deliver as they always do. The Open kind of had its moments, but as expected with the Open, there's kind of like less action with everyone being all the same kind of pace-ish. You have those little pocket battles, but the rookies is just chaos as it always is. And next week gets even more fun. Turn 1 Monza. That is all I will say as I throw it back to you for closing moments.
Yeah, speaking of, we're going to take a look at that Trackalicious calendar once again tonight here. On Mondays, you just saw us broadcast the really fun GT4 Rookies and the GT4 Open Championship in ACC with prizes from Next Level Racing going to a random participant in 7 of 8 races in the Rookies season, and they will receive a haptic gaming pad from Next Level Racing. And then in the GT4 Open Championship, the prize is the same, that same haptic gaming pad from Next Level Racing, but the overall championship winner will be receiving that prize in the Monday Open Championship. And of course, all the action starts here on Twitch as well, starting Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with the rookies, and then 9:30 Eastern for the Open. And signups are still open, so if you want to go ahead and sign up, not quite eligible for those prizes, but still always fun to see the grids rolling around in the ACC sim in the GT4s. On Tuesdays, we hit it to Le Mans Ultimate, where we've got the Multi-Class 60 Championship. The first one is underway, going to Monza next week. Or sorry, not next week, this week, tomorrow evening, starting at 8:30 Eastern Time. And forgot to mention, like Tyler said, going to Monza next week in our GT4 Championship on Mondays. And then back to ACC on Wednesdays for the late night, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, GT3 West Coast Championship. Watkins Glen and Indianapolis in the bag. Going to Spa-Francorchamps this week for 50-minute races in that championship. On Thursdays, we head to iRacing for the mixed GT3 GT4 Multi-Class Championship, starting at 6:30 Eastern Time on Thursdays. Mugello Sebring already in the bag. Monza this week. Monza on the calendar for a lot of the championships coming up here at Trackalicious. Then on Fridays, back to Le Mans Ultimate with the alternating championship between the multi-class Masters starting at 8:30 Eastern Time. This week, that multi-class Masters race will have a 100-minute race at Fuji. And then next week will be the Orica Masters Cup Championship, starting the same time, 8:30 Eastern Time. Also going to Fuji, but 60-minute races in that championship. Always fun to see Le Mans action and the multi-class action that those championships bring. A break on Saturday, apart from the occasional one-off Trackalicious events that we host. I believe we do have a fun one-off friends and family event this coming Saturday, so do join the Discord to keep up to date with all of those fun little events going on. And of course, on Sundays, the Next Level Racing GT3 Pro Championships brought to you by Trackalicious, starting at 6:30 Eastern Time on Sundays. Barcelona, Donington in the bag already. Round 3 will go to the Hungaroring for an 80-minute race. And the winner of that championship on Sunday will receive an ERS4 Fabric and Sim Aero Mesh Edition cockpit seat for their sim rig from our good friends at Next Level Racing. Always fun to see the prizes on offer. Always fun to see the action out on track. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Eric is ready with the raid, and we will get that going at any moment here. Just want to say a quick thanks to everybody watching, everybody in the background doing all the hard work, setting up the events, doing the stewarding, finalizing all the results, posting everything to SimGrid, doing all that fun and not so fun stuff in the background to get these championships as good as they are. Thanks to Tyler for joining us tonight as well in the studio. And a quick shout out to Alex Hansen for setting up the pass and save of the season. videos in the Discord. So if you did see something that you liked tonight, make sure to clip it and post it into that Discord channel on Trackalicious, where he compiles a big video at the end of all the action from across all of the different sims hosted by Trackalicious. And I think, yes, if you're ready with that raid, Eric, we're going to go ahead and get that going here. Make sure to stick around, support other fellow sim racers, show the love from the Trackalicious community, and as always, stay safe out there. We appreciate all you guys watching along. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to all from us here at Trackalicious. See you next time.